Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is Friday night. It's becoming a bit of a thing, a Friday night show. And little did I know through all of my drinking years that I would end up on Friday night spending it with these three. Look at them. Just look at them. Big up to Maz, Stel, and Dan. Gents, are we all good? Everyone well?
Same Spurs, different day.
Same Spurs, different day. Excellent. Maz, you okay?
Good. All good, mate. All good.
Good. Stel, you okay? You recovered from yesterday's battering on X?
Yeah, I feel like a superstar on social media right now. It's talk of the town. It's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Listen, guys, I'm gonna ask you to imagine a few things before we start the show tonight. And big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to absolutely everybody. Smash that like button on your way in. Smash it on your way out. Just smash it. Don't caress it. Just smash that like button. And please subscribe to these wonderful gentlemen at Tottenham Away and the Hotspur Hood. And if one of my mods would be so kind to put their links in the chat, that would be great. And we're not too far from 13.5K. So please do keep subscribing to my channel as well. Built on negativity. Guys, imagine if you will, there's a football club based in London. Imagine this. It's going to be really hard to do. And the chairman comes out and he says, you know what? I'm going to build a new stadium. And when I've built that stadium, we're going to compete. It's going to be a game changer. Now imagine, if you will, that we've been in that stadium for 5 years. Now imagine, if you will, that that same football club has now got an army of its fan base convinced that, even though the manager didn't say it, that there's going to be a youth project and that we don't need to buy first team players. We're going to buy youth players. And in 5 years, this football team will rule the world and we all live happily ever after. Can anyone think of a situation like that? Can anyone put their finger on a club that might be acting like that and anything like that? Anybody?
Go back to the Man U years, maybe.
I don't know what you're talking about, Savva. We've got a fantastic youth project. The talent coming through is generational.
Well, look, for as sarcastic as I was there, guys, that's what's happened. Let's start off with what means go. That's what's happened, right? We have a fan base that has very much, for the last decade, talked about wait till the stadium's built. Wait till the stadium's built. Well, actually, if you remember, the first thing was, wait till we first ever get Champions League football. Tick, we did it. We didn't kick on. Wait till we move into the stadium. Tick, we did it. We didn't move on. Wait till we start getting the revenue from that for 3, 4, 5 years. Tick, we haven't moved on. And I'll start with you, Maz. It's like we've gone full circle. It's like we've literally not moved into a new stadium. It's like we haven't got this revenue now. We're back to where we were many, many years ago, of needing to buy youth players, and the fans just completely letting all of this go over their heads and saying, yeah, this is great. If you can't see what the club's doing, you're the problem. Am I being too harsh on Tottenham here?
I don't think you're being harsh enough. I think it's worse than previous years. So if you split Levy's 24-year tenure into, let's say, 5-year cycles, I think we've progressively been buying worse and worse talent as the years went on. So initially, we will probably be buying similar talent to what we do now. Then that slightly changed when Martin Jol came at the helm, and we bought much better players and we did better. Then Harry Redknapp came and we bought even better players than potentially under Jol. And then really, since Redknapp and following on to Poch, we had a short period under Poch where he assembled a really good team, and it's been downhill from then on. So I don't think we've ever really had a genuine youth buying project. I mean, I remember when Damien Comolli came in and he started buying players like a younger Genus and Carrick and all those lot from back then. But they were very good players, even when we first bought them in, especially in comparison to what we've been buying now. So what's effectively happened is that Levy's almost thought, you know what, I've tried it in the past, I've not got anywhere. He hasn't really self-reflected and thought, maybe I'm the problem, maybe I'm the reason why things aren't going well. And he's thought, you know what, I'm just going to concentrate on what we've bought Tottenham Hotspur for, and that is build a sports entertainment business and infrastructure around it, and move our revenues away from relying on the football side, which pleases the investors, pleases the hedge fund, and yeah, that's it really.
Well, I mean, still, look, I don't disagree with anything you said there, Maz. I mean, still, I think one of the key things for me is whenever fans point out, and there is very much a divide in this fan base. There has been for years. It's not going anywhere. All of the media might say, oh, what Ange's done is bring the fan base together, like effers it. I mean, it has not brought us all together at all. But I think the thing that kills me, Stan, about most of this is we were sold all these dreams from Levy and whatever. But whenever fans like us suggest better players, not world class, we're not talking De Bruyne. I've never once said, Spurs should go and sign. We should be competing with Real Madrid for Mbappe and Jude Bellingham. But when we suggest better players, the answer every time still is, why would those better players come to Tottenham? Well, if that's always going to be the question, what was the point of moving stadium? Why didn't we just stay at White Hart Lane, buy young players, and just do what we were doing before?
Spot on. What was the point of why do we spend 430 million euros on one manager in 12 months if we're just going to bring in players that aren't good enough? I'm always fascinated by our fan base when they say something that directly contradicts what they said previously. The current one is this. The club's done a great job removing all the deadwood. Okay. But 2-3 years ago, you all said Paratici's cooking because of the signings he's made, but they're the players we're now removing. So how is he cooking then? Right. But now it's deadwood. I just feel Spurs are in this constant cycle of remove deadwood, bring in a new batch of deadwood, but praise the new deadwood as generational, exciting, world beaters. Someone today on the internet was saying how Archie Gray is the word clearly, right? Clearly, as in, how can you not see it? Archie Gray is clearly going to be better than Marino, who Arsenal just signed. Well, clearly. I mean, how have we not seen that? Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. But clearly he is. It's this kind of, they're so adamant that it's the perfect player that suits the system, that's perfect for the club, that's going to take us to that level. And then 2-3 years' time, get Villiers out. Oh my God, Brennan Johnson, why is he still here? Richarlison, please, drop me out. But these are the players that everyone praises when they come into the club. Of course, once in a while, we land a gem. We land a Van de Ven. We land a Maddison. We land a good play. You think, okay, that's good. But when it's 1 in 5 players that you sign, this is why we finish 5th. It's why we don't win trophies. It's why we've had 17 managers. So I really thought that just maybe, things might change this window. And we went back and forth all spring and summer on Tottenham away and on your channel and Dan's. And I think where I ended up, Savva, was I don't think we're going to get Eze. I don't think we're going to bring in the caliber of player we need.
But there's still 7 days still. We could drop 60 million on Eze tomorrow, couldn't we?
I'm sure.
Price has gone up. His buyout clause is gone.
Yeah. Right. Maybe he'll be our first £100 million player. Come on, guys, have some faith.
No, he's too good for 100 million. We'll sign something far better, far worse than that. But I said, I've been saying for a while now, there's 2 things I've been consistent with for the last 2 months. One is Project Youth isn't going to happen because I've heard it directly from inside the club. But of course, the journalists and the YouTubers and the podcast, they know far better. And well, now you're seeing it pan out. And the other thing I said was, I don't think we're going to sign these top players, but I've got to let it play out. Like, it's got to get to the 1st September because then it's a fact. At the moment, it's almost a fact, isn't it? Because there's only like 7-8 days left. But
yeah,
I don't know why we built this stadium other than to increase the wealth portfolio of the owners and to generate more cash flow for them to do other projects. Like, after the hotel, it'll be a climbing frame. After the climbing frame, it'll be a 6-complex cinema. After the cinema, it'll be to rebuild Haringey Borough housing development. That's the reality of Spurs.
I agree. I mean, Dan, look, let me bring you in here. Still stolen my thunder. It was something I wanted to talk about a bit later, but we're on it now. Thanks, Stel. We're on it now. And he's spot on. He's absolutely spot on. All the players down the years that our fan base have assured negative people like us. You guys are negative. Wait, you'll be wrong. You wait and see. I remember, right, and I was still on X at the time. I haven't been on X for 4 years. I've not been on X. And I remember at the time saying, Ndombele's crap, Lo Celso's crap, Sanchez's crap, Dyer's crap, Winks' crap, Sissoko's crap, Bergwijn's crap. And I remember, Dan, you know what I got? Oh, this guy, he's a hater. This guy hates Spurs. He wants Spurs to lose so that his agenda can live. I saw a YouTuber say this about me yesterday. I'm not going to mention names. I saw a YouTuber yesterday say, yeah, but they want this. They want this narrative. And as soon as this narrative ends, as soon as we win something, their opinions and their channels die. Right? Now, what I love about that, Dan, is every single player I remember saying, it wasn't just me, but I can only talk for myself. Every single player I said was shit. In the last 3 or 4 years, as Stel said, have all been then called as Deadwood. And the reason why a manager needs 2 to 3 years to do well is because they're getting rid of Deadwood. Dyer had to go. Sissoko had to go. Winks had to go. Skip had to go. Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon, Sanchez, which is exactly what we said. But we're doing it again, Dan. What we've got is we've got loads of cheap players in again, or young players. We're pretending again that all of these, if nurtured properly, are all going to be brilliant, with a manager that's got no history of doing this, by the way. This is a manager with no history, wherever he's been, of doing this. What are we doing, Dan? Why are we eat, sleep, repeat again?
It's a good question at the end of the day. I mean, I think what a lot of people don't understand is that we want Tottenham to do well. We want to sit on here and say, do you know what? We got it wrong. Werner banged in 25 goals. Solanke's going to bang in 30. Johnson, what a player and everything. But sadly, everyone knows we're not going to be wrong. Mm-hmm. We want to be wrong. That's just it. What people like us do, and other people, a couple of people on other pages and people on chat and that do, is just speak the truth. I mean, the way people are going on about it, like the young players that we've signed and our youth academy and everything else to do that. How do I put this? They talk about it like we've got skill and potential almost oozing out of Tottenham as such, when it ain't. If anything, it's more like weeping, if you get what I mean. It's comical in its own way. It just, people seem to think that he's coming out of us in every angle. We're there for the future. We're going to smash it. And the way I see it is Romero ain't going to hang about. Other players ain't going to hang about when they see us just signing youth players. Mm-hmm. They'll be gone. The youth players will be looking at it thinking, well, where's the big players? They won't win nothing. And then when they start getting good, a big team will just come in and say, thank you, come over to us and win something. And the cycle starts again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, driving away, Poch's first title race. I mean, listen, if we're going to call it Poch's first title race, you've got to remember back when Poch was in title races, we were never top, right? And we ended up those seasons like 11 points off. Poch wasn't facing this Man City. And guys, arguably the best team the Premier League's ever seen. Arguably. 4 in a row.
This is the problem, right? They look at one little thing, but look at Poch's first games when we had a title race. Right, Ange Ange has won 4 games in the last 12. Poch never had a record like that. Poch beat the top 6 teams. We haven't beaten a top 10 team. One team in since the 10th of December 2023.
In 9 months. 1 in 9.
Look at all the data, then the one that you've plucked, and then come to a conclusion. You've literally looked there, ignored that, and said, but look at Poch. It doesn't work like that. This is the issue we have at Spurs. I call it cherry picking. You picked the one bit of data. At least Savva did 10 months worth to come to a more robust analysis, right? I don't know. Our fans are nuts. We've got a crazy fan base.
It's madness, guys. What I don't want to do, I don't really want to just do the circle thing. So we'll just chat and everyone can jump in when they want. There's only 4 of us, so it won't get too mad. I just find it hilarious that we can still do the same thing over and over again. But it's almost like, how can I say this politely? I think we're all north of 40. Is that fair? I don't know. Maz, are you?
Do you know what, Savva? Something just
I'm the same age as you.
Okay.
Still.
Right, so we're all.
Go on. Sorry. No, I'm just saying that Poch's teams could defend. Poch's teams could defend.
Well, we had the best defense 2 years in a row, and it was not only was it the best defense in the league, it was one of the best defense in Europe for 2 years running, right? And Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen. Let's face it, they're 2 of the greatest centre backs, especially as a pairing, that we've ever had at Spurs. So
in our lifetime, in our lifetime.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, even by metrics wise, I think. Well, it'll be good to look up actually what Tottenham team conceded as few goals as those 2 during like the last 100 years. It would be interesting to see that.
And Danny Rose and Kyle Walker were actually good defenders. They could defend well.
But again, the difference is for me, Poch actually had a balance. His team could attack, but his team could defend. And we can talk about personnel, but I don't think it matters what personnel we bring in. If you're going to play these suicidal tactics, we just witnessed a player, Fatawu, who's never played in the Premier League, absolutely roasted us for fun second half. Jamie Vardy, who's 37 and had 1 training session. 37 years of age, 1 training session, should have had a hat-trick. Should have had a hat-trick in the game, the guy, right? And the big thing for me, and Maz, I'll come to you. The big thing for me, and I'll look at super chats in a minute, etc. But the big thing for me is what happens is it almost feels like it's the same cycle. And what I mean by this is last year when we started well, it was, oh my God. You know what, Maz? We could win a league. I'm not kidding you. I might go on to every YouTube show out there that isn't Spurs and say, we can win a league. And I truly believe it. I feel that, right? Those very same people, 2 months later, it's not Ange's fault. Ange wasn't given backup centre-backs. Not Ange's fault. Ange wasn't given a striker. But hang on. 2 months ago, you said we could win a league. Now it's not Ange. And we're going to do that again and again and again. Everyone praising these signings we're making at the moment, Maz. You don't know what Ange is doing. Look at this. You know, as soon as it starts to go wrong, they're going to completely flip their script and it won't be Ange's fault. It will be, but Ange wasn't backed. There's no consistency to these opinions, Maz. I find it baffling. I really do.
Because they're not willing to look at Spurs over a longer period than a week or 2 or a month at the same time, right? Every season that goes past, they just hit the reset button and start again. And it's indicative of the society we live in today. This short-termism, this need to always feel good rather than face up to your responsibility and take accountability for things. This need to have simple answers rather than use your brain and delve into questions that require a lot of thinking and you know, a little bit of brain power. So what can I say? It's delusional at the highest order, and they stop forming their own opinions and they rely on journalists and other YouTubers to form their opinions for them. So there's no critical thinking. And that's the sad state we're in today.
Maz,
and
do you know what
our
it is?
fan base is the worst for it. We're by far the worst for this.
Maz, do you know what it is? I learned this a couple of years ago. Fans are lazy, right? Fans in general are lazy. What they want is quick access to info, quick access to data to formulate an opinion. What they don't want to do is actually go and learn something new, put the work in, and say, actually, I've got a different look at this, and I'm going to back it up with what I've found. They depend on other people to do that for them. But what the problem is, the people they look for to do that for them are doing exactly what they do. They're looking for the quick answer as well, so then they can create content.
And they have agendas as well, right? So when we discuss this on Tottenham Away quite frequently, but Tottenham have done an absolute masterpiece in psyoping the whole media establishment, right, to peddle their narrative. All of a sudden, winning trophies is not the thing to do. The actual real win is being financially sustainable, right, and being the best run club. Well, yeah, that's great for the accountants, right, and that's great for the investors and the tradesmen.
An award yesterday for it.
Yeah, but we're in elite sport, and the whole point of elite sport is to win trophies and finish as high up the league table as possible. And if you're not going to do that, then what's the point of being in elite sport? So
looking at it like this way. Looking at it like this again. It's another one. I just ain't the best way of putting things. So I just say it how I see it. Spurs supporters are like your average Gen Z female these days. She stands there in the pub and she thinks she's a 10. It's like, sorry, darling, you're barely a 4 if you're lucky. And that is pretty much how Spurs supporters look at Spurs, no matter who we buy. Yes, we're a 10. Look at that team. We're a 10. No, mate, we're a 4 at best. Be realistic. We can't go, look, put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, whatever way you want to say it.
You lost me at Gen Z.
It was sarcasm. Gen Z is your average.
I get it. I'm joking. Okay. We did. He's right though. Dan's right. We think we're a lot better than what we really are. We just don't want to admit that there's fundamental problems at this club, and it shouldn't be acceptable for a big club like Spurs, well, once a big club, to be coming 6th and 5th and failing in cups so easily. Dan's right. Yeah. We think we're an 8 or 9, 10, but really, let's be honest about it. We're a 5 or 6, aren't we? He's right.
Well, listen,
we certainly don't. Just to clarify, on this panel, we don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't think we're an 8.
I think the thing is, right, guys. I think the thing is that
I thought we were close to it.
What I look at as well as this, every time one of our rivals, and again, do you know what? Do you know how many times a day I do that when talking about Spurs? Right? Because so much is
just
said,
stay
right?
like that all day.
Right. That might be my new image. Instead of the French Bulldog, it might just be that on FHTV. Every time our rivals sign a player, right, we find a way to belittle it. We find a way to belittle it. Like Arsenal signed Mikel Merino. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Mikel Merino is the best midfielder I've ever seen. But Mikel Merino is a seasoned Spanish international. He's played top flight in Spain and England. Arteta wants him. Arteta's very rarely in the last 3 years got his signings wrong. He's joining a pool of very good central midfielders as it is in terms of Odegaard, Rice, Partey and Jorginho, right? And our fans are going, oh, he's not very good anyway. We sign Archie Gray and we pronounce him as the best young footballer in world football. And this, for me, is where I get it. I get that people want to, and I think this is I'm muddling up here, but this is where I think it's strange. People always say, oh, let fans say what they want. Sure. But I didn't create a YouTube channel, guys, to just sit here and go, oh, I love it. Oh, I'm Spurs. Oh, my God, we're going to win 4-0 this week. We're going to win 5-0 this week. We're going to win leagues. I created a football channel because I want to talk the truth about my football club. If I wanted to create a channel where I'm getting invited onto Sky Sports, whoever, TalkSport, I would just chat shit on a daily basis. I would do what all those other channels do. I would chat shit. I would just say Spurs are great. I would turn my comments off. I wouldn't interact with anybody who comes into my YouTube comments. I'd just say sod ya, right? But those channels, they're loved because they're positive, they're happy. We're doing it apparently, no matter how many years in a row we're right. Once Spurs win a trophy, we have to stop YouTubing because everything we've said is wrong. Forget that for 24 years we've been right. And I just don't get it. So bringing back to my point, back on point, every time another club buys a player, they're shit. Every time we see it. Aston Villa sign an Arna. Oh, he's rubbish. We won't want him. I'm like, hang on, look at our midfield.
Yeah, but see,
you know, it's just madness.
But do the fans even know what a good player is? Because
no,
we've when was the last really good player, right? Let's forget about Andrew Postecoglou. Pre-Postecoglou, when was the last really good player we bought?
What, Van der Ven, or was good there?
Mickey Van der Ven.
Oh, we didn't know that he was really good.
Well,
I'm talking about established. We're
talking Van der Vaart level footballer, right?
I think we were all pretty excited about Bissouma and Maddison, if we're going to be fair. But Bissouma's been a massive letdown, and Maddison's only got half
level, are they? They're not that level.
Said that, but I'm glad you said that. Savva's going to nick my point, right? So we look at Maddison and we think, oh wow, that was a big signing. But really, when you compare it to the quality we've bought in the past, right? He's no better than those. In fact, you would argue he's actually slightly worse. So I don't think our fan base really knows what good players are. Like, because we've not consistently bought good players.
Can I show you how you know that's true, Maz, from a comment I pinned about 10 minutes ago? Right? Look at this. He's one of the most skilled players we've ever had. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty sure at our age, I can give you a list as long as you want of better footballers than Ndombele that have played for this football club. But this is what we do. This is what we do.
Right. He is a very skillful player.
He is a skillful player.
And he could have been quality, but he ain't got the mentality for it. That's what it came down to.
But we never saw it, right? When talking about players like this, we always talk about could have, should have. I'm talking about players that did it. Van der Vaart.
You can't. Yeah, you're right. You can't include players that should have been good. Right? Yeah. You know, if we're judging players like that, then we have bought the best players ever. You know, because the YouTube highlight rules say so. You know, Ndombele didn't do it, so no.
I agree with that comment about him being skilled and he wasn't crap. What I disagree with is blaming his failings on being injured. No, Dan's right. Dan's right. Up here, he didn't want it. He didn't want it. Psychologically, he wasn't at all at the levels. He wasn't professional the way Gareth delivered for us, the way Ericsson performed for us. He never had that professional psychological aspect of his game.
Another player we had who could have been so much better, because for me, he had a lot. And that was what was his name? Sergei Herrera. Was it Herrera? The right back we had?
Rebrov.
Serge Aurier.
Yeah, him. He could tackle. He weren't bad at passing. Yes, he could run. He could run with the ball. He could cross it. And he could have a shot on the goal. Football-wise, he had it. Mentality-wise, he did not have a single clue what was going on the bloody pitch. He's another one of those players. I thought as a player of what he was capable of, he was actually a very good player. But if you haven't got the mentality for it, what does it matter? It's like going down the road and you got no common sense of walking along with your iPhone like that. You could be the smartest person on the planet.
We just haven't
on the floor with no iPhone.
We haven't bought good quality players consistently for the fans to say, "Wow, he's a really good player who's come in." Wow, you know, and then have someone good in the immediate present to compare it to.
Maz, do you know what it is? this fan base, when it comes to transfers, I don't think they listen, right? The amount of times all of us here and other channels like us have said, we don't expect Mbappe, Mohamed Salah, Kevin De Bruyne to come to Spurs. We're not idiots, right? We're not going to attract them. But what we do expect is a level below that and above average, okay? So when fans say to me, oh, you just hate every signing, you're never happy, I'm like, no. Then they say, so who do you want? And I'll say,
I love
Elise,
that. I love that.
Eze, Zubamendi, Manu Kone, Ivan Toney. Give me 3 of them. I'm not complaining because I know the starting 11 has now gone up a notch. I know they're better than what we've got. And then they say, but we haven't signed them. And that's why I'm like this. Don't you get it? This is my issue. I don't want to see Brennan Johnson. I don't want to see Solomon, Veliz. I don't know who Yang is. I don't want to wait for Archie Gray to be good in 3 years. Why can't we just find some oven-ready players to complement the youth and then build? But we don't. I don't even know what the plan is at Spurs right now. Do you know that, guys?
I think you said something earlier. This goes back to what Maz said. Sorry, just quickly, Maz. This goes back to what you just said. I'm about to give you a massive compliment here. I truly don't believe this generation now know what a top footballer looks like. I think people see a player like what we'll do is, and again, we've not helped. The YouTube generation have not helped. I fully admit that, right? But we watch a 45-minute cameo of an Archie Gray, of a Will Lancashire in a pre-season game. They'll pick out a clip where someone, Gray, will lose the ball, but he's tenacious. He goes and finds the bloke in the next 5 seconds, wins it back. And people go, this boy is captain material. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How about we actually see him do it over 38 games, playing 90 minutes, making a midfield spot his own before we pronounce him the next this, and that. Every player, Yang, oh my God, if you've seen Yang, have you seen this highlight reel for Yang? Every single player. The two biggest examples this summer have got to be Gray and Odegaard. I'm not saying Odegaard's a bad footballer. I don't know about you guys. We're always on YouTube every day. I didn't see one Spurs fan talk about Odegaard.
No,
Not one. Whenever you were asked, what wingers do you want? Oh, I want Nico Williams. I want Bakayoko. I want Mbuemo of Brentford. You know, no one ever said Odegaard. Odegaard signs for Spurs, and the videos start going around. This is a genius signing. This is how he transforms us. Spurs are super. And you're like, well, but none of you said it. None of you said this guy. And if Arsenal had bought Odegaard, if Arsenal had bought Archie Gray, if Arsenal had bought Yang, we'd be sitting there going, what are they doing? They're not serious.
No,
I just don't think we know players.
No, I don't think we would necessarily be doing that if they bought them. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be grilling them because they've got a good enough team. But we also know what they do with their youth players, like Saliba. Like everyone grilled them at first, and they put them on.
Dan, that's not what we're seeing.
Come back good. But that's not what we
see in the comments. That's not what we see in the comments from every show.
No, I know, but I'm agreeing with you. I personally wouldn't look at Arsenal now if they signed Archie Gray, Odegaard, whoever else, and gone, what are you actually doing? I would have probably looked at it and thought, okay, for right now, probably not a good choice, but you don't desperately need it like we do. That's probably one they're just going to buy, put out on loan for 2 years, and he's going to come back pretty good. No, we don't do it like that.
Yeah. And no, I agree. Look, let's hypothetically say that Arsenal did buy Gray. It would make sense for them because he would be around Rice and Partey, right? He would be in and amongst a squad learning off quality players. And then in 2-3 years, he would be on loan, right?
He'd be on loan.
But what I mean is, if they made that signing in their current state, Dan is right. You wouldn't look at it and say, why have they bought him? You look at that and saying they obviously see something where they could potentially introduce him in the next 2-3 years' time, right? In and amongst their team. At Spurs, he's coming in and we're thinking about starting him. And that shows that the state of our football club at the moment.
I just think it's funny how everyone we sign suddenly becomes an Ange player as well. Like, first of all, I don't know what this nonsense means. And I said to you guys off air, I feel like I've missed something. I feel like we've hired Pep Guardiola. No one's told me, and that's why everyone's so sure that in 5 years' time we're going to be brilliant. Look, guys, I want to talk about tomorrow's game before we go back to some of this stuff. Look, we've got Everton. The result against Leicester kind of makes this, or doesn't kind of, makes this a real must-win game. And I know that's mental to say after 2 games, but our games after that kind of dictate it, right, chaps? That you've got Man United, you've got Newcastle, you've got Arsenal, you've got Brentford, you've got Man City, you've got Villa, you've got, Palace, West Ham. There's a tough run of games. We're going into this game now with no Bentancur, no Dominic Solanke. What do you think the club's going to do tomorrow? Do you think this is a formality? Should we be winning this one easily? And just to caveat this, whoever wants to start, Everton have got 14 senior players to choose from. 14. They've got no options in that club.
This is going to be a hard game. Any game in the Premiership is a hard game.
I don't believe that, but go on.
But that is why the Premier League is rated the best league in the world, because on its
not this
anybody
nonsense again.
Can beat anybody.
And sorry, Dan, I've got to stop you there. So does that not happen in any other league?
Not the same way it happens in the Premiership.
Why?
Barcelona,
I've got facts coming out my arse, mate. I'll destroy you. Go for it, though. Go for it.
But Barcelona could bring out their second team, and they know they've got a good chance of beating all but 4 of that team.
That's not true.
In the Premiership, Norwich can come on and do Man City on its day.
Hang on. Dan,
it's a lot more unpredictable. Go on.
I'm going to ask you a polite question. Do you watch any of these leagues?
I don't watch Spanish league.
Right. So that tells me exactly.
Really.
Do you know what?
I watch Italian league and a bit of
German. Do you know how often I watch PSG slip up to teams they shouldn't? Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich.
I'm not saying it never happens.
It happens more in other leagues than it does here. City hardly ever lose. Arsenal hardly ever lose a game. Liverpool hardly ever lose a game. But over here, we've got this notion. Sorry, this is one of them comments that is just completely English centric. It's constantly, it doesn't happen in any other league. Real Madrid at the weekend. Do you see who Real Madrid drew to at the weekend?
No, like I say, I don't even follow Spanish league really. It bores me.
Exactly. Real Madrid at the weekend drew, what was it, Mallorca? Mallorca, they drew over the weekend.
I'm not saying it never happens, but Real Madrid could put a team out with, say, 4 players missing, and they've still got an extremely high chance of winning that league.
And Arsenal and City haven't.
If you let me finish, like Arsenal and City have. But after that, it is actually a very compact league. After, let's say, 3rd place even, it's a very compact league. Apart from Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City, it's a very close league in that aspect. Anybody can beat anybody easy enough.
Same as every other league, though, Dan. I don't know. What facts have you got to back that up?
I just don't think it's quite the same in like the leagues I watch.
Thinking and feelings are very
different.
From what
I see personally.
Sorry, this is one of my bugbears in football opinions. I'd watch so much football, it's unreal. And I watch all these upsets all the time in other leagues. And every time it happens, me and Perchy are talking to each other going, best league in the world, the Premier League. Nothing. It doesn't ever happen in the Premier League. It happens in every league, mate. There's no... I'm
not saying it never happens. I mean,
I think it happens less in our league than in other leagues.
What would you say?
I think the Premier League's the most exciting league because it's
because no one can defend.
Well, I think there's an element to that. I think tactically we're more naive than a lot of the European managers, but at the same time, I think the Premier League, because of the pace and the intensity, it's a bit more end-to-end Wild West, and I think it's more entertaining. So maybe it gives the illusion that it's better because we're more glued to watching it. Because like Dan said, I agree with Dan. He says, I'm a bit bored watching other leagues. I'm the same. The Premier League, though, I would say the Premier League is the most exciting league in the world. And entertainment is what sells it at the end of the day.
Sure, but isn't that because when you actually... But the thing is, like, I watch the German league a lot. When you watch these German games, I watched the German game tonight that was 3-2 to Bayer Leverkusen. Exactly the same as a Premier League game. End-to-end, both teams wanted to go for it. But for me, most of this comes down to that teams that can't keep the football make games entertaining. The same way, you know, when people say still, Man City are boring to watch. People think Man City are boring to watch because they have mastered the art of football. They've mastered the art of don't give the football away. Fans,
you know, they're going to win. Know they're going to win.
Yeah, but they've mastered the art, right, of not giving the ball away. People go, oh, pass. Sorry, what are they meant to do? Are they meant to give it away? Are they meant to not have the football? And that's the difference. If you watch the Spanish league, I've just been watching in the background here. I've got Seville, Villarreal on. There's no difference to watching this game to watching an
I don't think Man City are boring. I think they're the most entertaining team in the league.
Oh, I agree. Not me. I'm just saying what people say. I just don't get this notion that the Premier League's amazing when we're poor in Europe most of the time. Our clubs can't do anything in Europe a lot of the time, if we're going to be brutally honest. And I don't know.
I'd say our bottom 10 are tighter than any other league.
But tighter, define the word tighter in what aspect?
How do I put it? It's closer. The bottom 10 is fighting a lot more than the other bottom 10 in other leagues, I'd say. Our top ones, they're well ahead of us. They're well ahead of us.
But there's a lot more, are you saying the bottom 10 in other leagues are closer to the top 10?
No, opposite way round.
Confused.
I'd say take out the top lot. I'm trying to figure out a way to how to explain this, but I'd say the bottom 10 in our leagues, in our Premiership, they're all a lot closer to each other, bar maybe one or two that just got relegated. I'd say there's still significant distance in other leagues between teams.
Okay, do you know what? You know how I love a fact? I'm looking at the Spanish league. I'm going to do the same for the other leagues. If we're going to talk about closeness, from 11th, so the bottom half you're talking about, in the Spanish league last season, 11th down to 17th, just before relegation, was an 11-point gap between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Between 9 teams, there was 11 points from. How close is that?
It's close enough.
Right. Let's see what it is for the Premier League, shall we? This is sorry. I'm one of these. I watch so many leagues, and I feel it's a no offense, Dan. I just feel it's a really lazy narrative for people that don't watch other leagues that just make things up. If you look at last season in the Premier League, from 11th through to 17th, the gap was 17 points. So that league's actually more bunched up than our league was. So that again, that doesn't make sense.
I'll tell you one thing I noticed when I was out in Spain. We did 2 weeks at La Coruña, Deportivo La Coruña. We went and did a coaching session there, more observing than coaching. One thing I noticed in Spain, at all levels, they're more technical. Their players, they're a lot more crisper on the ball than what we are. Although that is changing. A lot of the young youth coming through, a lot of the academies down the UK and the England national setup, that's why England actually have been doing better in major tournaments, because we are developing more technical players now. Southgate obviously isn't a good enough manager, but England are developing better technical players, but Spain do have the edge. That's why they beat us. Technically, they're better.
On what? Oh, for sure. I mean, when you watch that final, the difference in football between Spain and England, the difference in technical ability in the players is just frightening for me. Sorry,
but we are closing the gap. We are closing the gap.
Then, out of question, I mean, the way I'm trying to say this, and I think one of the people on the side has just said it right, is basically. Then I'll ask you a question.
The Italians are technical as well, by the way. They're underrated.
Totally. No one's better at. I'd say that's the most technical league out there, personally, from what I see. The way they defend and go from there, you don't get more technical than Italians when it comes to defence.
They're very intelligent overall, aren't they? The Italians and how they
agree. The Italians.
Out of the other leagues you watch,
think about the game question. I think about it a lot.
What bottom teams take more points from the top teams? Does that happen in the Premiership? Does that happen in the Premiership most? Does it happen in the Spanish? Does it happen in the German?
I would say it's the same across. I think it's the same across world football. It's all about who's doing well at what time. And what I mean by that is, look at Bayern Munich last year. Bayern Munich lost so many games they shouldn't have. They weren't in good form. You could say couple of years ago, right? A couple of years ago, Arsenal should have been doing much better. I mean, the last couple of years, they've been great. Before that, they were losing silly games to teams they really shouldn't. Man City every now and then. Man City play at home to Palace. People predict 5-0. 2 hours later, Crystal Palace are wheeling away with a last-minute winner. They've hit them on the break. I just don't think there's any difference in all the leagues. I think the Italian league, for me, is defensively brilliant. I think that they're brought up to learn how to defend. I think the Premier League is one of the worst leagues for defending. I truly believe when you watch Match of the Day.
I could go with that.
I think the Spanish league, for me personally, is technically the best in terms of how the players are all brought through, how well drilled they are. They're all very similar. The Premier League, though, I think Stella's right. The Premier League is the end-to-end league. But you've got to remember as well, the Premier League has the most money spent on it. So these other leagues and other teams, like when Atalanta last year win the Europa League, you think they hardly spend anything. These clubs do brilliantly with the money they've got, the training, the coaching. Over here, it's money, 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 money. I don't know. There's something I feel like we've lost our way, the Premier League, a little bit, and we've become the ultimate farmers league, if you want to call it that. We always say it about Germany. We say it about France. Man City, their dominance has made it that this is now the ultimate farmers league, no?
It has become it. We have become the same as others. When a team goes and wins it 4 years on the trot and it's the same one up there, it's definitely on its way to being like the German.
We all knew as soon as Arsenal lost 2-0 to Aston Villa last season, City have got this. We knew it. We're like, City have got this.
I knew they had it from day one.
The thing is, though, the problem is Pep does that in every league he goes to, right? So he when he was in Germany, he was cleaning up there. When he was in Spain, he was cleaning up there. When he's, so I don't know if we can just say just because Man City have won it 4 years in a row that all of a sudden, we're guilty of this.
But didn't Bayern win it for like 10 years in a row or something?
Yeah, exactly.
11, I think it was.
Yeah, they did.
Pep was only there for like 3 or 4 years.
But it depends how you look at it. If you look at all the other leagues at the moment, right? I suppose other than maybe PSG, but even Lille won it in the last 4 years, right? I believe we're the only league that hasn't had a different winner in the last 4 seasons. I believe, if I'm right, I think that the Dutch league, if I'm not wrong, has had 3 different winners in 4 years. The Italian league has had 3. I think Inter twice, AC
Milan,
and Napoli, right? And before that was Juventus. The German league has now had Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich.
Juventus done it 10 years straight as well, didn't they?
Yeah, and I just feel like at the moment we're heading that way massively.
I think in this country, though, Maz has got a point. In this country, it is down to Pep. No one can touch him, or Man City's ability to attract. Like Man City attract the best players as well. Some of them Akanji, no one would have thought he's one of the best players, but they can attract a Guardiola. They can attract Haaland. Not many other clubs in England can do that. Maybe Man United could. Maybe United could.
Even more so, obviously the economy in Europe and the economy of the other leagues has shifted dramatically, right? They're a lot poorer than they used to be, and England is a lot richer. So that dynamic is switching, and it just so happens that Man City obviously know how to use the rules in their favour to get the players they want.
But also, one thing that does get overlooked from Man City as well, listen, I'm not going to sit here and praise Man City for anything, but, I will a little bit, is whilst you're right still, they can attract a Vardiel. They can attract a Haaland. But what they're also brilliant at doing is finding a Julian Alvarez at 15 million and then selling him for 75. They've bought a Kanji for 15 million. 15 million quid. Savio is 25 million pounds. You think he's that fantastic. Is more? That is less than we've spent on Odegaard and Archie Gray, right?
And he's levels above both of them. Levels completely.
They're also brilliant at bringing through. You look at it. Rico Lewis is a superb footballer. Phil Foden, Player of the Year. They're bringing through that Nico O'Reilly in central midfield. Oscar Bob. But what they're also doing, guys, have you seen how much money they make from player sales?
Yeah.
Like they've just. I think the other day I saw is Cancelo leaving for 40 million euros now. Youth team players they sell them for 25 million. They've never played in the first team, like Chelsea. Spurs sell youth players that were going to be the next big thing, like Troy Parrott, for £6 million. Do you know what I mean?
But you see, but their academy functions a modern day football academy has got three purposes. One, develop players for the first team. Two, develop players that you can sell on to make a profit for the club, so it acts as a business. And three, it is part of the community trying to bring in players and do good for the local area. There's three purposes of an academy. Man City tick all three boxes, and they do it really well. Chelsea's academy was doing it really well as well, although there was a lot of dodgy shenanigans with that one, hoarding players to stop other clubs getting them and stuff like that. But Spurs academy is actually in a good place, but we failed to integrate the youngsters into the first team enough. You know, Ledley King and Kane, let's be honest. They're the only two that have ever broken in and really nailed it. We're hoping Mikey Moore's the next one if we're realistic.
Still, I just want to jump onto what you're saying, because you said something earlier, and I was going to come in, but we digress onto different things. This is why I think that this Project Youth doesn't exist at Spurs.
It doesn't exist.
Daniel, well, we know it doesn't, but Daniel Levy cannot afford to try a youth project because in his mind, Spurs need top four to keep up the revenue generation for the club and help him build Levy land, right?
I disagree.
So
go on.
No, you don't disagree, because we discussed this at length last season, right?
No, I disagree with this.
I disagree. No, you don't. You don't.
Right. Yeah. Right. Listen, hear me out.
Shut up,
you
Stel.
probably find
Shut
that
up.
right.
That's the best argument I've ever heard on YouTube. I disagree. You're wrong.
Right.
No, I'm not.
Let me finish your point, and then you'll get right, because he had Ange comes in, right, and he comes in and he has the perfect opportunity to wipe the slate clean, right? Do what Poch did, remove all of the problem players in the squad, right, and start again. He didn't do that. He comes in, he doesn't touch any of the youth because, I don't know, like you said, so the players weren't good enough or whatever, right? And he sticks with the players that are already in that squad and brings in some players. We know that Daniel Levy wants top four, right? Because he sacked 18 different managers when they failed to achieve that goal, right? So that means by effectively the process of elimination, we know that he will never allow the youth to take centre stage at Spurs, because that will not guarantee him top four. He knows that. But he has to be seen to be doing the right thing, right? And he has to also ensure that the squad and the contractual side, the players don't get so old that he has to start cancelling contracts and lose money that way. Hence why they're getting rid of a lot of the players, lowering the wage bill and bringing in the fresh young players now to avoid the contractual mishaps that we're going into from last season. If you remember, I think there was like a list, wasn't there, where there was like 14 players all coming to the end of their contracts or needing renewal. Yeah. So we had to refresh all the squad. It's not this rebuild that everyone thinks it is. They're doing this out of necessity so they don't lose more money. They're not doing it to win. And the difference between what Man City are doing, Liverpool and the other clubs, is their focus is on winning trophies. That's not our focus.
No, you're right. Can I do some super chats? Sorry, guys, just before we move on. Sorry, just quickly.
I do want to explain why I disagree though.
No, you can't. It's too late.
Can I come back to it still? Let me. Please let me do some super chats. By the way, Paul O'Keefe is reporting in the last 5 minutes that Solomon is close to a Leeds United move. So another successful signing last year, where people said, "Oh, just give him a run of games, he'll be fine." First of all, Eugene, this is what I mean. Man City buy a good player. Look at it. It's shady. Why was it shady? Why? If we had signed him, it would have been great. But why was it shady? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. By the way, super chats. Big up Patrick McCrory. Always very generous in the chat. Big up to you, my friend. I believe you're out there in the United States of America. I said, just finished work now, lads. So fantastic way to start the weekend with a great panel. Much love and respect. Big up to you, Patrick. You're always very generous, and I can't thank you enough for that. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate you. Rinketic Sport Agenda said, fans claim Porro is a world-class right-back. Zanetti, who? Also, Johan Bakayoko is 40 million. It's not even a lot. Yeah, look, I think the Porro thing's interesting for me because I'll always say it, and we can talk about him later. I just don't see him as a right-back. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I just don't see him as a fullback. But we can have that conversation a bit later. Bakayoko, by the way, came out, and fair play to him, he actually came out and said, I will only move to a Champions League club. That kind of rules Tottenham out, doesn't it? With all the best will in the world. Vindaloo, big up, and said, okay, I don't know why you're shouting at us. Okay, panel, be honest, does Levy need to go?
Yes.
You're asking the wrong panel here. We don't need to be honest about that. Absolutely. And Rinketic said 13 Bundesliga teams had a chance at Europe last season. Yeah, listen, I know. You tell Dan, wherever he is. You tell Dan here. Yeah, you tell him. It's more competitive in other leagues than it is in the Premier League. But big up to each and every one of you. Stel, would you like to rebuttal? And please smash the likes. 700 of you in here, only 221 likes. We've got the tightest fan base in the world for likes. Stel, as you were.
Yeah, I do want to rebuttal it, but very quickly on what Eugene said about it being shady. That's Eugene's lack of understanding of what's going on. Girona and many other clubs are part of the City group. The City group, it's your choice to join the group, and you give a percentage of ownership to the group. So I believe it's 25 or 30%. Part of the agreement is Man City will transfer, the City group, will transfer its coaching skills, its methodology, into processes. So they're building a community of development. And that's why Girona did quite well last year. They bought into that. And part of that means the best players will end up moving within the group. And because City's the best player in the group, they will have the pickings of that process. It's legal, it's smart, it's the future of football. Other clubs are going down this model. RB Leipzig, the RB group, have been doing this for years. Ralph Ragniak built this model. Not one player that came from the RB group to the Premier League did Eugene question. Why? So there's an agenda at play here from Eugene. Sorry, Eugene, man. This doesn't wash. But on what Maz said, I don't fully disagree.
He's followed it up. He's followed it up. He doesn't get it, does he? Look, City selling to themselves isn't shady. He doesn't.
Man City don't own the group. They're part of the group. Anyway, whatever. I've explained it. So what Maz said, I don't fully disagree with, but I disagree in the bit that Daniel Levy can go down Project Youth, but not the way we think it should be done. Right? Ideally, we want to see what Alex Ferguson did. These 5 amazing youngsters all come in. You know, the Giggs, the Nevilles, the Beckhams, and all the other youngsters, Scholes, and he sticks with it. We finish like out of the top 4, which Levy doesn't want to ever do. And then in the future, they become the future of Tottenham and we win trophies, right? This is where I agree with Maz. Levy's never going to do that, Maz. I agree with you 100% because he's not going to allow us to finish outside that top 4 or 5. But what he can do, and this is where he goes wrong, is you can put Lancashire and Mikey Moore into that first team, at least in the squad, and integrate them into the team. He can 100% do that. But to do that, goes back to what Savva said earlier, you need that Declan Rice, that Partey, that Jorginho, those experienced players to guide them and elevate them. And then every 2-3 years, you can bring through another 2 and another 2. And then what you get over 10 years is you've actually fed in 6 or 7 youngsters, but you've bought Eze, you've bought Paulinho, you've bought Ivan Toney.
Well, we don't do that.
And that's why Project Youth doesn't work, is because he won't do that bit. And it lets down the youngsters.
Because he doesn't plan. certainly on the football side of things, he doesn't plan, because every time that he sets a plan in motion, he rips it up a year or two later, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Paratici came in, right? He put in layers and layers of management, right? Which when Paratici left, they ripped up and they started another plan, right? So he doesn't even stick with the people that he trusts his plan, right? Now you could say, yeah, but Paratici was instrumental in what he's done currently with the academy. Fine, but let's review this in 2, 3, 4 years' time and review the success of the academy then, right? And then make a judgment on that. But will it be what we think it's going to be? Like what would we call success from the academy? What I would call success from the academy is if we have another Harry Kane moment, another Ledley King moment, right, come through. Michael Moore might be that young lad that is that, but we won't know that until 3, 4, 5 years time. But yeah, I agree with you, Star. I don't think we're misaligned here. I think we're saying the same thing.
This is why I've said Ange isn't going to be, even if he wanted to, he's not going to be able to use this youth academy or whatever, because, okay, maybe Levy's going to stick to his plans, but 25 years say otherwise.
Yeah.
So if he goes to this youth plan, unless Levy is 1,000,000% behind it, we all know that Ange can't afford to do that, because, like I say, in my opinion, but also with 25 years of history now, that if he's, say, in 8th place and 15 points, 10 points behind 4th place, and it just don't look like it's going to happen, 25 years of history says, baked potato, see you later, mate, you're gone. Yeah. And so with all these youth players coming in, I don't think, if he wants to keep his job, that he's going to be using them unless he's at this situation where he's got no other option. But then we go back to last season. He had an option or two to use some of the youth players who maybe wouldn't have handled it out on the pitch so well. But the one I think a lot of us will agree with was against Arsenal and Liverpool, where we had no left wing back. You know what? This was your season to mess about with things. This was the season that you could do as you pleased, basically, and half get away with it. If he would have put a youth player there, fine, they'd have probably still got cooked by a Saka or Salah, but you'd have been a bit more, all right, he tried a youth player that plays that position. But no, he either goes and sticks Ben Davies there, or he goes and sticks Chicky Royale there, where he's blatantly going to get the stick before the game even starts. So I just don't see how Ange has even got it that he can use the youth players if he wants to keep his job.
Dan, Ange is the ultimate yes man, and he's self-sabotaged himself.
He really is.
One,
he
right?
really is.
He has.
He's a massive yes man.
He had an opportunity, right, to buy himself a year or two by implementing the youth early on. We discussed this still.
We did. We said now's the season to do it, where you got the what's it called, the 1 year grace.
Exactly, right. And they still could have refreshed the squad like they're doing now. I say refreshed it, got out the deadwood and bring in new deadwood. Right? They still could have done that, but if they implemented some of these youth players in the team, we would have given them grace. Another part of his self-sabotage is not managing the fans' expectations. Right, and he's constantly, and he's doing it even now. He's doing it, even now, right? So I don't, and this is where I really diverge from good friends of ours, Ryan and Brian, where they say, "Oh, we have to back Ange." No, we don't, because Ange is complicit into what Daniel Levy is doing to this club, right? They've joined at the hip, those two, right? Ange is doing everything that Levy wants him to do. I don't want managers like that. I want managers who want to win, who can think for themselves and implement their strategy, i.e. Jose, Conte, Pochettino, right? And even Pochettino, you could argue, oh, did he do that or not? He messed up a little bit, but then he was the closest we got to anything happening.
Anyone. Sorry, Dad, just quickly, I just want to say on that point, I feel when this happens, and look, I watched your show the other day, and listen, I love Ryan Isaacs. He's a great guy. But for me, that just showed again of there's one way of thinking when it's not always one way of thinking. And it was like, just back Ange because you hate Levy. Listen, I hate Levy as much as the next guy, but does that mean now I can't hate a manager? Sorry, hate's the wrong word. Does that mean I can't doubt a manager? Does that mean that because I don't like Daniel Levy, that now every manager he employs, I just have to say he's brilliant, I back him? At the end of the day, you're right. Ange has made a rod for his own back, right? Ange is telling the fans one thing, but doing a complete opposite thing. He goes on national TV. I hated him being on during the Euros, by the way. I didn't think it did him any good. He goes on during the Euros, he's on the panels, and he's talking about, youth, the youngsters, if they're good enough to play. And I'm sitting there thinking, dude, you were the one manager last year, and I don't know if you saw this stat, guys. We gave our teenagers less minutes than every other club in the Premier League. We were bottom of the minutes table, and not one of our teenagers started a game of football, right? And you've got Ange on national television going, if they're youth and if they're good and blah, blah. It's like, hang on, mate. You don't do what you say. For me, it's all... So, yeah, going back to the Ryan Isaacs point, it's conflating two arguments. Yeah, it's conflating two arguments for me. Just because I don't like Daniel Levy doesn't mean I have to like Ange's tactics. Doesn't mean I have to like Ange's interviews. Do you know what I mean? They're not the same thing. Yeah? Can I always blame Levy for everything? Sure. Does that mean that everyone's worked underneath him? I love? No. That's mental. That's absolutely crazy.
What is backing your team up? What is actually backing a manager up? What is actually backing a player up?
Agreeing with everything. Just agree. Yes. Yes.
Now, do I back Spurs? Yes, I do, because I want them to win. Do I back Ange? Yes, I do, because I want him to win. Do I back Johnson? Yes, I do, because I want him to win. Do I think Ange is a good manager? No, I don't. Do I think Tottenham are a well-run football team? No, I don't. Do I think Brendan Johnson is a good player? No, I don't. But does it mean that because of that, I don't back them and don't want them to win? So someone please explain to me, our use for you on the chat, what is actually backing your team or backing a player?
Stell said it. Stell just said it. It's agreeing with everything. Get behind your team. Brendan Johnson's crap. Get behind your team. No, hang on. Whoa.
Mate, I'd rather not. I feel my team gets behind me too much.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, go on.
Can I tell you exactly what the academy director said to me? Right, this is exactly what he said. Maybe it will sink in with people that watch this show. Right, he said 3 things that stood out for me. The first thing he said was, by the way, I don't agree with everything he said. I'm just telling you what he said. Okay, he said the kids aren't ready. They're not ready for Spurs, and Ange agrees. They are in agreement. Which is why I said all along, Project Youth isn't happening this season. They're not going to be featuring. And this is why I said it, because I knew that them two agree on this. Do I agree with that? No. I think there's youngsters there that should be given a chance ahead of some of the players we've signed. That's my opinion, but I'm not the manager and I'm not the academy director. But that's what they said, so I knew it wasn't going to happen. The second thing they said was, we're more likely to see a couple of players from the under-18s in the next few years break in, i.e. a Mikey Moore and another player of that squad that he was a part of, although he's now going to move into the under-21s. But that age group, they're more likely the ones we're going to see in a few years' time. And then he said to me, what we're really going to see in terms of youth come through are the current 12 to 14s that are going to have 6-7 years of Simon Davies' new philosophy. They're the ones. But Ange won't be here for that. That'll be probably manager number 3 or 4 after Ange. God knows how many we're going to go through. And that's what he said to me. And everything I've seen so far happen is exactly in line with what he said. It's funny what happens when you listen to the people that are working in the club, right? And I think I've said this to people so many times. And some people are like, okay, that's interesting. Let's see what happens. Most people are like, what do you fucking... Shut up. You hate Tottenham. I'm telling you what he said to me, right?
Well, but the thing is, Savva said the point earlier, right, where I'm paraphrasing here, Savva, and correct me if I've got it wrong, but basically he's saying, why do our fans do this? Like when we buy a player, they say, oh, he's the greatest thing, but when other teams buy a player, they say, oh, he's rubbish, right? Because they know that the players we're buying are bad, but because it doesn't fit into their worldview, they try and rationalize it, right? And try and make sense so they feel better about themselves because they were wrong to begin with, right? And the more that we've done this over the years, the worse it's getting. So now we're bringing in players. Look, Bergvall, Gray, right? Odebert. Who's the other player we brought in?
Oh, I don't know. They're all the same.
Right? Yeah, they're all the same, right? Right?
They're all 12.
None of us know whether they're going to be the next generational talent of the world, right? Or the best players in 2-3 years. We've got no idea. There might be, there might not be. Let's hope for Tottenham's sake they are the best players ever, right? But you can't say they're going to change the team now because they've not even lived their life. They've just started their careers, for crying out loud, right? You can't look at Rooney when he was 16 and say, oh yeah, he's going to be the best English striker ever. No one knew that.
No.
So
but you could look at him and you knew he was going to be quality.
Yeah, fine. And
but I think the fact that and to back up your point, Maz, I think the fact though that at 16 they chucked Rooney in. At 16 they went, go on, right? If Spurs right now went, you know what, we've seen enough of Brennan Johnson. Tell you what we're going to do. Go on, Mikey. Go and play against Everton, right? Let's be fair. You're not going to lose a game because Mikey Moore plays on the right wing. I fail to believe that just playing a kid on the right wing automatically means you lose a game. And if ever there was a game where you could give a player, right, a chance, surely it's a beaten up Everton who have got hardly any fit players. We're going to have all the football. That's the game where you go on, Mikey. But you know he won't do it.
He's not going to do it.
You know he won't do it.
The only youngsters guaranteed minutes, again, coming from the academy director's mouth, was Bergvall. He said to me he's going to feature. And Archie Gray wasn't signed at the time, but so I never got to ask him about that. But I think Archie Gray will probably get some minutes. Well, he will because he came on the last game.
What I would love for Ange to do, right, is drop Kulusevski into the midfield, right? Because we know that he battles and he's quite a physical presence, right? He's probably going to have to introduce Basuma back into the squad because of the injury issues, right? And then stick Mikey Moore on the right. Try it,
Yeah. Listen, I agree.
Just try it and see.
Yeah, this is what people want to see. As all a lot of people want to see on our side of it, as such, I would say, is just tweak a couple of things. Just show that you're realizing something ain't doing it properly.
That Johnson is shit. That Werner is shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and do what he did at the start of last season, basically, and change 9 bloody players for a League Cup game, against another Premiership team. Nobody's asking that. No one's asking him to change his formation. Just show us that you're willing to try a little something.
But don't you think half the battle here as well, right, is, again, and I did a video about this today with Dave, the Irish Hotspur, and I talked about Project Youth. And I feel like, again, this is a narrative that has been pushed by fans that got it very wrong. And what I mean by that, and hear me out, right, is all of us here, us 4 on the panel, every Spurs fan in the chat, I don't care who you are, you all said it. Every YouTuber said it. We all said it at the beginning of the summer. We need a top midfielder, definitely 1, maybe 2. We need a top winger. We need a top centre forward, and we need some defensive cover. Someone that can play right back, left back, and centre half, or at least another centre half, because you're going into Europe, and you can't just have 3 main centre halves. That's what everyone in the fan base said, right? Now all of a sudden that didn't happen. Half the fan base are like us, going, "This is what we're doing. What are we doing here? This is pointless." The other half have now gone, "Oh, no. Like this. This is what we wanted. We wanted Project Youth. 5 years." Now, this magical 5 years number as well. I've never heard Ange or Levy say 5 years, but our fans have made the narrative that in 5 years, this plan will come together and we will succeed. To back onto Dan's point, do you know what I want to see? If we are going to go down the youth route, if we are going to go down that route, lads, whether I like it, whether Maz likes it, Dan or Stel, whether any of us like it, if we're going to go down that route, just bloody go down that route. Let's not have a half and half. Don't buy Brennan Johnson for 50 million. If you want to go down that youth route, big up, Alex. I'll come to you in a second, bro. If you want to go down that youth route, don't buy Brennan Johnson. Just put Mikey Moore there. If you want to go down the youth route, don't sign Timo Werner on loan for a year. Play Jamie Donnelly there.
Exactly.
Right? If you want to go down the youth route, get rid of Ben Davis, who's been here for 10 years. Thanks for your service. Let Ashley Phillips stay at the football club. But again, we're not going down this youth route. What we've done is we've bought cheap young players rather than actually addressing the issues in the first 11. And because of that, people are compensating. Because of that, people use it as a coping mechanism because we all got it wrong. We all thought this is the window, all of us, this is the window where we must back Ange. And if we back Ange and watch him back Ange. But their coping mechanism is can't say anything bad about the club. It's a
I'm not part of that, Savva, by the way.
Savva, can I quickly read a tweet? I just want to quickly read a tweet because it goes exactly on what you just said, right? I tweeted this earlier on today. Are you ready for the club PR machine? It's going to go from Ange always wins trophies in his second season to it's a 4-year youth project. Be patient.
Right.
Yeah. Bookmark it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Maz, I know what you're going to say. I'm using that flippantly. I was one at the beginning of the window. I just didn't want to single myself out that I said nothing will change. Yeah. I said what we need, but I said nothing will change. But I was convinced by everybody that's now saying it's a youth route. They were the ones going, window's not shut yet, Savva. Watch. Watch when Eze comes in. Watch when Gyökeres comes in. Watch when Zubimendi comes in. They've all changed their mind now.
I specifically said in November before.
See, look like that.
I specifically said last November that everyone's thinking that Ange is going to come in and he's going to get all these players in the January transfer window and then in the summer. And I said, it's not going to happen. Watch this space, right? And Timo Werner came in and the rest is history, right? And I can't... there's nothing positive going to happen. Anyway, I'm just going to end on that. There's nothing positive going to happen.
I think the word you were missing there, Savva, is hope. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of hope in life. You've got to have.
I'm going to call my firstborn kid Hope, Dan. By the way,
you know what I mean. Even being a Spurs supporter, you've got to have some hope. There's nothing wrong with hope, yeah. But hope and being positive are two different things, yeah. I hope I win the bloody Euros tonight. I'll take us all out for a bloody beer. But
if you win the Euros, and all we get is a pint of beer, Jesus. Are you Daniel Levy? What's going on here? Hi, lads. I've just won 70 million. Everyone want a pint of Guinness. And what are you doing here?
But if I tell you the rest, I'll end up with no wife and you'll end up single. So there you go.
Sorry, love. I'm just going out with Danny. I'll be back in 2 months.
You know what I mean? Takes on a world football cruise and that.
Or I might not be back. I'll be dead somewhere having too much fun. Yeah.
But it's just you've got to have some hope in there, yeah. And I knew where this was going to go, but I thought we might get that one player where you could actually sit there and say, you know what? Okay, fair play. I thought there was a chance we could get Eze. I seriously thought we could. But then the best we go and do is get Solanke at the same price we could have got Eze. And
no, mate, we've been tracking Odebert, apparently. We're tracking him for ages.
And it was a tough deal to get over the line. Tough deal. A 19-year-old kid from Burnley in the Championship. And, it's a tough one. These deals are all difficult to do. I love this.
Do you know what? In some ways, right? I'm going to give Andrew a bit of credit here. In some ways, I just want to be a bit fair, a bit balanced. I guess.
Go on.
It is quite amicable of a man to take the weight of the shit show on your shoulders and take full responsibility and say, "Look, I said yes to this." For him to come out and explain, it took us a long time. The fact that he's taken that responsibility, fair play to him, because that is part of management, but it's going to be the sword he dies on, unfortunately. But there is something amicable about it, if you can kind of see what I'm saying here. The fact that he's saying me, just don't question the board, don't question the recruitment team. Speak to me. There is something quite amicable.
Well, that means nothing.
Can I get some super chats in?
I know.
Right, that means that
I've got 15 super chats.
Go for it,
to get to them, and then I'm going to bring in Mr. Box Office, and we're going to talk about Solomon as well. I believe I haven't got X, and I haven't looked at my phone. I'm actually watching a game from Paraguay, who I've got in my ACCA, so I can't. But I believe that Romano has announced Solomon to Leeds. But we'll come to that in a minute. And Alex, I'll start with you. Are you ready for this? Stell, don't piss me off. I'm so jealous.
Here we go when I came on the show.
I'm so jealous. £25 million for Matt O'Reilly, a goal-scoring midfielder, good engine, knows Ange's tactics. Anyway, are you ready for this? Donna Cullen has said, Wagwan, Mr. Savva. He's just Wagwan and Donna Cullen. We'll be hosting Catfish and Bottleman concert at our stadium in August 2025. Please buy your tickets. Someone sent me this yesterday. I have no idea what Catfish and Bottlemen are they, them? I don't know. Big up to you, Donna. Thanks for that. You've come back in again and said I will give you and Mr. Stelios 2 free tickets. Thank you. What about Dan and Maz and Alex? What if they all want to come as well?
She already said earlier she'd give us the tickets.
Well, she's gone on again and said, Mr. Dan and Mr. Maz, I will give you 1 ticket each. Also, Mr. Savva, please help me promote the concert. Yeah, everyone, please get to watch the Bottle Men and who was it? The Fish something? I don't know. I don't even know who it is. I don't know who they are. I don't know what genre. Maybe something Alex listens to. I don't know. Alex will probably tell me no. I don't know. I have no idea. Big up to you for that. The next one, guess who it's from? It's from Donna Cullen. So, Mr. Stelios, you also please help me promote the concert. Yes, absolutely. He will do. Mr. Savva, I'm now focused on this concert success. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Donna has come in again and said this concert will bring revenue for 2026 transfers. Donna Cullen has come in again and said, Mr. Savva, our NFL London games also starting soon. Donna Cullen has also come in and said, buy your tickets for the NFL London 2024 games. Our ground for the tickets are sold. Donna Cullen has also said, please, Mr. Savva, please promote the concert also for me. Listen, I heard you the first time. Ethan Bates, big up to you, has said, I'm just wondering how long it will be before the fans get told to temper expectations by Ange as he continues to backtrack on his BS. Absolutely, and we will talk about this a little later in the show. Ange says a lot. All you have to do is stick one of these in front of his face, and that man talks himself into trouble. Big up to you, Ethan. Maffio has said, why can't Mikey play for Spurs? Nwaneri will be in the first team this year for Arsenal, and they are age mates. Look, I don't know. Let's wait and see. A lot of talk around Nwaneri as well. I've not seen him play. Apparently, the reason why they let Smith Rowe go was because they believed they had enough in Nwaneri coming through. And that's why they let Fabio Vieira go as well on loan to somewhere today. He went somewhere, Porto. I think Fabio Vieira went on loan to Porto. Donna Cullen said, Box Office. Mr. Box Office, you will also get free tickets. That's nice to know. Donna Cullen's come in and said, Mr. Box Office, you will love our concert in August 2025. And the last one, Donna Cullen has come in and said, just watch when we say Wagwan to Kid from Gang One. And by the way, anyone who's sitting there thinking Savva is rolling in money after all those super chats. There's a lot of super chats. You might as well have just put one bigger one in to said the same thing. Big up, Donna. Thank you very much. Alex, 7 days of the transfer window to go. Manor Solomon has left today to join Leeds United, another successful signing from last summer. Ashley Phillips went to Stoke yesterday. There's talks of Lo Celso and Serge Reguilon going. Will our fans turn around and celebrate this as brilliant because we've got rid of all the deadwood? What's going on here?
I've got to be very careful what I say here because I've got a video coming out soon because I think Tottenham Hotspur are making an absolute big mistake, massive mistake, and big mistake. If I'm hearing it correctly, especially the fact that they're saying that our generational talents in Archie Gray and Burval are going to be our main midfielders, I think it's an absolutely terrible mistake. I've got to be honest, and it just sums up this club as far as I'm concerned. And well, I mean, to be honest with you, like I say, I'm very calm right now because I've done my video. You'll see it on Mr. Box Office TV. It's kind of refreshing, and yeah, I'm kind of done with this team now, to be honest with you. And I'm just getting a bit like I say, I'm going to be standing corrected by the end of the season because this guy's gone. You know, this guy is leaving at the end of the season because it's only going to be a
Before then.
miracle. It's going to be a miracle if he's going to be still here, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not even arguing anymore about it.
Let me ask you, Alex, what do you think is going to be the reason for him leaving? Like, obviously not doing well, but do you think it's going to take for Spurs to be a certain position in the league or a certain amount of points off of the top four? What do you think is knocked out of the Europa League early or the Cup early? What do you think is going to be the breaking point for Ange to leave?
I think, well, if he gets top four, he's staying anyway, regardless, because that's what Tottenham want, and that's it. But for me, like I say, there's no evidence to me that they are backing this guy. There's just no evidence. Absolutely no evidence.
I don't know. He's had a lot of money spent on him, Alex.
Well, no, there's no evidence. There's absolutely no evidence. The fact that he keeps on talking his way out of a job as well, it's just even more gets on my nerves.
Oh, yeah, but Alex, seriously, I agree with what you and Savva said there. Sorry to interrupt you quick, but it's true. I mean, you say the positions he gets it. We'll put it this way, the position he put himself in the other way, it didn't look like the mic went in his face, did it?
I mean, the fact is, I mean, I normally would be angling for a ticket to go to Everton, but I'm not even that bothered right now because, like, I mean, the whole Alderweireld thing. Like I say, I think we're making a huge mistake just putting Archie Gray and Burva in this really pressurized position, and they cannot handle it. They cannot handle it. Those are two young players that, for me, shouldn't be put in that position whatsoever. You need some experience next to them right now, and I'll be saying it on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV. Thank you for everybody watching that video, by the way, and my reaction to Leicester game, by the way, so you can see the truth is actually coming to most people now. You know what I mean? But I watch lots of other. I watch a little bit of other podcasts, and all I hear is these people in the comments that say, "Oh, thank goodness people are not moaning," and I'm like, "What do you mean we're moaning? We're just talking the truth, and that's it." It's like, "Oh, it's only one game." Well, if you saw from last season, I saw it from last season a long time ago.
Yeah.
I saw it from last season a long time ago, and then Savva does his stats, and then everyone gets rattled. Everyone gets rattled, and it's just like. And
it was
it's
mental
like,
how far and wide that travelled, Alex. It was
honestly,
it was crazy.
It's crazy how people are just getting rattled, and then you get all the PR from all these fans, and it's not even that they actually believe it, because most of them will admit to you privately they don't believe it. It's just that they're just doing it for the YouTube channel. And I'm sorry, I'm being honest. I'm being honest. And the same people that will say to me, and this is what really winds me up, right? I've got nothing against people like the Hotspur hippie. So I have to mention it because I love him. Absolutely love this guy.
I'll just ask Alex, can we refrain from names? It's got me in a lot of trouble this week, and I don't want to.
Oh yeah, but it was a good thing. It's a good thing.
Okay,
I like
cool,
him.
cool.
I like him. I like him. Yeah, because he's a good guy, and he's backed me. He has backed me. So I will. He's done this guy for 20 years. 20 years, yeah, and he still understood what I was talking about from June. He never gave me any flack whatsoever. Yeah, and I will not hear a bad word about that guy whatsoever. But you get people that say the same thing what we're saying, but say that we're toxic, and it's just too much. Well, it's not even too much. It's something.
Alex, don't worry about it. When they're wrong again for like the 24th season in a row, people will still say we're negative and this is what we wanted, rather than actually saying, hang on, those guys might have a point. But Alex, I want to come to this, and I want everyone to get involved in this. It's a really interesting one, guys. And I reckon there's going to be a few different opinions on the panel for this. There's lots of talk of, well, Ange hasn't been backed. Now, if we look financially, I don't think no one can say the man's not been backed. He's actually spent more money in the last 3 windows than any other football manager. He spent more money than any other football manager in the last 3 windows, right? So that's 431 million euros. Now, if you look here, Alex, hopefully everyone can see that. It might be a bit too small. My concern is this. Look at all of the clubs there. Can everyone read that? The club side, right? Look at the clubs we're buying from.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I'm not saying every player has to come from a top club. But not one of these players comes from a top club anywhere in the world. You look at that. Look at the state of that. Bournemouth, Leeds, Burnley, Djurgården, Gangwon FC. Right? That is shocking. Now, if we scroll down a bit, we'll go to his previous year. If we scroll down a bit. Again, look here. Other than Kulu, who was already joining, right? Have a look at that. Nottingham Forest, Leicester, Porro, who was already here, so I won't count him. Wolfsburg are decent. Genoa are decent. Empoli, Rosario, Blackburn. Guys, the reason I brought that up, do you all see where we're shopping? This is where we're shopping, guys. This is where the Fulham shop.
That's why it just led me to say what I was saying. It's just the same thing, Savva. It's the same thing. It's like we're just seeing the same things all the time, and that's why I've kind of just zoned out a lot, like I said. And I was sitting there thinking, you invited me on the channel. I was sitting there thinking, what am I actually going to say that I can actually say this is new? The only thing I can do at the moment is say what I'm saying on my channel, just saying what I want, and that's it. But it's just like, it gets to a point where, and I think you summed it up perfectly, what you said a couple of videos ago, and you said about you being an 18-year-old guy, and it's not changed since then.
16.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
I'm joking.
Like
I'm joking.
I apologize. I'm just showing you. Like I've got to a point now where I've got to keep away from it because I'm just going to the carnival. I can't be asked. I cannot be asked anymore. You know what I mean? And that's where I feel at the moment. Sorry, Maz. I just say.
Sorry, this is my fault. Last season, I said something that quite a lot of people didn't necessarily agree with, but for me was absolutely true. So the signings we made in Andrew's first season, most notable the ones that worked, Vicario, Van der Ven, and Maddison. I'm not sure about Maddison working, but let's just say that
he still had great stats in the league.
Yeah, exactly. He still had good stats, right? I felt that they were absolutely necessity signings for Tottenham Hotspur because Lloris was out of the club basically, so we needed a keeper, right? So they brought in Vicario, and he wasn't our first choice; he was like our second or third choice. We needed a defender because Eric Dyer, you know, I think everyone by that point had enough of him. He's been at the club for a long time. We needed another central defender, right? So we bring in Van der Ven. Absolute necessity. There was no two ways around it. We needed the central defender, so he came in, right? And Maddison was brought in because they knew Kane was going, and they needed a marquee player to appease the fan base a little bit. Because if Kane left and we brought no one in, then the fan base would have been upset. That's my take on the transfers. Now, Brendan Johnson, Solomon, and all those other players, well, we called that they were rubbish, and they've turned out to be rubbish, right? And all the other crap players that he's brought in. This season and this clear out of the dead wood, as we're calling it, for me, is not necessarily because they're back in Ange, it's because all of their contract negotiations, everything was all coming to a head. Right, there was a lot of players almost running out of contract. There was a lot of players that had failed, right? So they needed to get rid of those players and bring in new players. Otherwise, there wouldn't really be a squad there for us to compete, right? So,
well, Maz, here you go. Look at them.
Is that really back in Andrew? Is that sorting out a legacy of just basically bad planning, bad player recruitment, right? It could have been any manager that would have done this, right? And so I don't think. Yes, they've backed him in the sense that if you just look at one metric, right? They spent 431 million euros or 350 million quid. That's backing, but for me, that's not backing. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the actual wages spent in a year in comparison to other clubs, we haven't moved. Right.
Well,
now, for me, a manager to get backed, you need to raise the level of wages going up, because that signifies quality coming into the club. But the fact that that hasn't actually moved up, it's been edging up ever so slightly, means to me that Tottenham haven't really backed him any more than they've backed anyone else. Right. They're operating within their parameters to build Levy Land, to build the hotel, to do what they need to do to operate as an entertainment business. That's my take on it, anyway.
Well, can I just pick all these players?
Well, he said he did. He said he does. But to your point, Maz, when you look at this and look at the right hand side this time, guys, look at the outs. Again, Maz, you put that brilliantly. I saw an article the other day or a YouTube. I don't know where it was. It just said "ruthless Spurs." I thought, sorry, I can't look at my hair like that. It's a disgrace. 1 second. Yeah, it said "ruthless Spurs," and everyone keeps saying. You ask anybody, right? Give this out of 10 or give this window out of 10. Well, outgoings, it's a 10. Let's have a look at that theory, shall we? As Maz said, Ivan Perisic. Contract was ending. Eric Dyer, contract ended. Tunga Ndombele, we had to pay to get rid of him. Yeah. Japhet Tanganga, his contract ended. Ryan Sessegnon, his contract ended. Brian Hill and Højbjerg, they've gone on loan. No money at the moment for them too. They've gone on loan. And by this time next year, their contracts will have both ended. Right? And if you look at the top, Joe Rodon, that's a player who's not been in our first team has never been in our first team. It's a player for 3 or 4 years that hasn't, we say Deadwood, he's not actually been in the club. He's always been out on loan. The same with, Emerson Royale for me is the only one there that's played regularly for the last 3 years. He's the only one, I think, that we've got rid of there that has played regularly. Skip plays every now and then. He comes on, he gets 15 minutes, 10. But do you see what I mean, guys? When you actually look at Spurs being ruthless, what's ruthless about it? We've sold Rosen,
we're fixing our bad business.
I have to give them credit for Skip, though, because I think the Skip one was actually, to be honest with you, I have to admit.
Yeah, fair. 20 million, good deal.
To be fair, they could have kept him. They could have kept him. I think, to be honest with you, that if Ange's made that decision as well, for me, that was a very good decision. But the bad decision for me is, like, yeah, we can look at these things right now, but I think it's the buys in, like I said, because for me, I think we've got players that are not too dissimilar to the ones that we let go of. And to be honest with you, the Timo Werner ones made me even more confused or angry because we've got Alderweireld in. Because I'm not sitting there thinking, why have we got Alderweireld in? We could have just got Alderweireld in and forget Timo Werner and get somebody else that's decent.
Exactly.
And that's it. It makes absolutely
this comes
no
back
sense.
to, Alex, is before you joined, it's what we said. If it's a youth project, bring in Odegaard to be Son's understudy, if you like, or rotation player, train him up. But we bought Werner, and that set the tone. Guys, just quickly, David Derrill, this sort of comment for me is brilliant. Do you know, David, how many times I try and invite the positive fans on? And they will hardly ever. They won't come on.
They won't do it.
What does he mean? What does he mean? I don't understand. What does he mean by positive fans? Can you clarify what that means, please?
Someone that will come on and just go, yeah, we're getting top 4 and winning the Europa League, right? And then when you say why, they'll go, I just feel it. I just feel it. Guys, I wanna move to tomorrow's striker situation. Dominic Solanke, last season, anyone know how many games he played for Bournemouth in the Premier League?
All of them.
All 38.
Yeah.
All 38. He's been at Spurs. He's played 90 minutes. and already he's injured. And there's lots of rumours, I don't know, lots of rumours tonight suggesting he won't be back until after the Arsenal game. I don't know how true that is.
He's back after the international break.
I mean, I'm not too bothered. I don't think he's that great anyway. I actually saw a fact today that it showed Kane's Premier League minutes to goals. And I know obviously that's the elite level. It showed Solanke's and it showed Richarlison's. And Dominic Solanke was bottom of Premier League minutes to goals. But my point is this, guys. Tomorrow, who starts up front for Tottenham? Does he go with Son and puts Odegaard or Werner out wide? Does he go with Richarlison, who's not really had any game time, but will help with aerial prowess in both boxes? Or does he do the false 9 with Kulu? What are we thinking, guys?
Can I tell you what Jose would have done?
Sure.
Jose, right? He would have played Lancashire and more, right? We would have drawn or lost or whatever. And he would have been like, told you. Like he did when all the fans were calling on some of the youngsters like Parrott to come in and stuff like that. And he shoved him in that game and he did absolutely nothing to prove a point. That's what Jose would have done.
I've got no idea what he's going to do.
Best thing he could do, the way I would do it personally, is play Kulu as a false 9. Why would I do it? Because no one crosses the ball in the bloody box anyway. And it'll 9 times out of 10, unless it gets rolled across the floor in there, it gets passed back out the box. So I'd stick Kulu as a false 9. If I'm going to have a striker in there, I'd at least go for Son because I know he's still got shooting boots on him. But I think everyone knows that Richarlison's going to go in there.
I'd rather put Son there, to be honest with you. I'd rather put Son or Kulusevski there. I can't do Richarlison. I'm sorry. I just can't do it.
Got Lancashire. He's kept him in the squad.
He's injured, isn't he?
Injured.
Apparently.
I wouldn't play a striker. I'll tell you why. If you look at the game against Brighton, Everton-Brighton, Brighton beating 3-0 Goodison. The first goal came from a wide player doing what we do, the kind of classic one we want to do. Go down the wing and then smash it into the box and hopefully someone back post taps it in. That's exactly how they scored their first goal, a typical Ange ball goal. The thing is, their wide player took on the wing back. Our players don't take them on. So we're not going to really find joy if we're going to try and take on players. But the other 2 goals that Brighton scored were identical. The space opened up in the middle. Everton had 3 at the back. And this big pocket opened up and they attacked that central space. And that's where the 2 goals came from. So Welbeck scored and someone else scored. That space outside the penalty box of Everton and about 10 yards after the halfway line, they call it zone 14, right? If you're going to grid a pitch. That space, zone 14, that's where we need to attack. Everton looked absolutely woeful when Brighton hit them there. So we need players that are going to play in the Maddison role. If you're going to play Kulu in that role with Maddison, perfect. So I would do what Dan said. Start Kulu as a false 9 because in that pocket he can work. Even Bergvall. That's where we need to put the bodies. And I wouldn't worry too much about the striker tomorrow.
But can I ask, I'll say, for a team that are atrocious at defending set pieces, playing Kulu, you're then going to have Kulu, Johnson, Son, none of them can head a ball. None of our midfield heads a ball. Romero and Van der Ven, surely you need somebody like a Richarlison or if Solanke's not put up.
Why do you? If no one crosses it in there, what does it matter?
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Are you talking about us defending set pieces, Savva?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, right, sorry.
Set pieces. We can't. None of ours can defend set pieces. We can't defend set pieces. Listen, I'm just devil's advocate. I don't ever want to see Richarlison in a team, but for me, Everton's strength is what?
Well, maybe Savva. Okay, well, maybe Savva as the home team, if we are more attacking in that central space that I explained, and we actually do go 2 or 3-0 up, because we're going to concede at some point. But if we go 2 or 3-0 up, which we should do against this team,
that's the only
at
fact,
home.
Isn't it?
You'd like to think this game it will actually happen. Then we don't have to worry too much about what you said.
This is I know exactly what he's going to do. It's going to be Timo Werner, Son, Johnson, right? Maddison, Sarr, Basuma, the same team as what he's done last year. That's
So
what
is it Johnson up front? Is Johnson up front then?
on the right.
Out
Yeah.
wide. Son's going to go
Out
up front.
wide, yeah.
Son
It'll be
up
the
front.
same team as last year. I can almost guarantee that will be the team.
I mean, I just hope that it don't start with Richarlison. I really don't, because I just do not rate him.
Really does not.
There's no way he's starting Lancashire and Mikey Moore in a million years.
I mean, if he starts Richarlison, what was it you said it was, Stel? Zone 14?
Yeah, so it's that space just outside the penalty box for about 15 yards. That's where Brighton ripped.
Yeah. If you start with Richarlison there, you might as well call it Area 51, isn't it? Like,
could you put Alderbear there possibly? I'm only saying. I'm only saying.
He loves Johnson.
You know what I mean?
He loves him.
I'm clutching. I really am clutching right now because I've got to be honest. None of them.
I think he will start Son, and I think he'll start Johnson. In fact, I think what Maz said is pretty much what's going to happen. Pretty much how it's going to go.
How we attacking team, and we got those forwards. I do not know how that works.
Oh, don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll probably play Archie Gray.
I'm trying for you, Savva. I really am trying. I know it's a Friday night, but I honestly don't know.
Did you guys watch Everton on the counter attack trying to defend against Brighton? They were a mess. Like Everton are literally, they're shambolic. If we can't beat this lot, regardless of who we put in the starting 11, if we can't beat Everton at home, we might as well just shut shop.
Still, they've got 14 first-team players to pick from.
This is what I mean, Savva. I don't see how we can't beat Everton.
For sure we're winning that game.
I said we'd beat Leicester 3-1. I got it wrong. Fine. But this time, I struggle to see how we don't win this game. I really do.
I mean,
but
how do we score the goal, though? How do we score the goal? Because that's what we got Poro, haven't we? So Poro's actually quite good, actually.
Leicester, when they sat back against us and were compact, they didn't really give us any big chances. A lot of there's one or two decent chances, but the rest were half chances. They were quite well compact for most of the game. Yeah. Everton are wide open. Everton are like us. When we defend the counter attack, Everton look exactly the same. If Everton come with a low block and don't attack, different game. If they play how they did against Brighton, I think we're going to rip them. It's whether Dyche switches it up or not. I don't know how Everton are going to set up.
But in a minute, I want to talk about our midfield as well, because obviously Bentancur's out. Before we do, Sinoy has said Ornstein said today that Arsenal sold Vieira and Smith Rowe to give a pathway to a Nwaneri as Odegaard's back up. Moore and Nwaneri are the same age and were teammates. Yeah, look, we said it before. Look, it's on Ange. If this guy's as generational as everyone says, let's see him. If he doesn't play him, then this is on Ange. Big up to you. Really appreciate that. Donna Cullen's coming again. And said, Mr. Savva, I forgot F1 go-karting has also started. Big up, Don. Donna, can I ask a favour? Rather than send like 10 in a go, could you just put them in one super chat for me? Because otherwise I end up spending about 7-8 minutes reading out super chats, please. I appreciate them. I don't want to seem ungrateful, but couldn't you just do one slightly higher price and more characters in the letter? Big up to you. Donna Cullen's also said special discount for season ticket holders on events. Donna Cullen's also said positive fans go to Catfish and Bottlemen concert. Let me see if that's the last Donna Cullen one. Donna Cullen's also said negative fans want us to win things, sadly. Big up to you. Where am I? Jerome. Big up, Jerome. Always in the chat. Big up to you. I said, I thought Donna was trolling, but it is actually true. There is a rock band called Catfish and Bottlemen, and they will perform at the stadium. I just assumed that was our new strike force for next season, Catfish and Bottlemen. I thought it was like,
Sven Bottleman.
Well, has anyone seen Mike Bassett, England manager, when they call up Benson and Hedges because he wrote the England squad on the back of a fag packet? Yeah. The two 40-year-old geezers jumping up and down on the touchline. I thought it was that. Big up to you, Jerome. Jerome's coming again and said, I believe Conte was the only manager that publicly said Spence was a club signing. Yeah, he was. He was, absolutely. Whereas Ange says they're all his over and over and over again. This comment made me laugh. Look, as I said, I don't know this Jacko guy. I've got no problem with him. When he said yesterday that I've blocked him, I don't know what I've blocked him on. I'm not on X.
Can I say Jacko also apparently wanted to debate me, but the inverted winger, who's got quite a name on Twitter, Jacko didn't turn up for the debate with him. So this is all very gossipy. Let's wind it all up and turn each other against each other stuff.
Mohammed, as I've always said, I put this open invitation to anybody. I'm not excluding anybody. Everybody in the world. I'll put the invitation out there. If you want to come on and have a debate, my chat is open for you. My chat is open. So these Jackos, I've got no, by the way, I don't know him. Invert the wing, Jacko, any Spurs YouTuber. But like Dan said earlier, they won't come on. I've asked Jay Rated. He don't want to come on. He won't come on.
Really? Jay Rated won't come on.
I've mentioned, listen, I'm not going to mention all names, but I've asked loads of people. They don't want to come on because when you hit them with facts, they want to talk about feelings. And I find that really sad. So Rich has said, big up Savva, we're praising, he's shouting at me, we're praising the board for selling the bad players they've recruited. Absolute madness. Sure. Rich, do you know what? We're also praising the board for selling the bad players that most of these fans said would come good. Right? These were the players they wanted. Big up to you. Tony Rodriguez, big up to you, my friend. I said Vicario, Doggy, Van der Ven, Romero, and Porro, Basuma, Madison, Bergval, Son, Kulu, Odeberg. That's his team for tomorrow. We're going to continue talking about the team in a second.
Big up to that's a good team. I think that's a team that I would take, to be honest with you. A push.
Well, we'll continue talking about that in 1 second. Let me just finish these off. Big up to you. And this makes me laugh. Remember what I said earlier, guys, about how we've moved into the $1 billion stadium. We're told we're going to compete. We're one of the richest clubs in the world. And you got fans going, look at you lot thinking we can attract players from better clubs. I mean, it's madness. Aston Villa are signing players from Juventus. Who did I see the other day sign someone from Borussia Dortmund that were lower than us? Was it Bournemouth or someone?
Didn't we sign Bissouma and Bentancur and Kulu from Juventus, who's a better club than us? Didn't we do that?
Yeah, they're the only ones.
It's madness. It's
Who
madness.
did Matt O'Reilly go to, by the way? Did he go to Brighton?
He's gone to Brighton.
It's that whole situation. Why we never signed Kyogo and O'Reilly when Ange first came, right, is just beyond me.
A lot of
people
are looking
didn't
at
sign Mane from Southampton when Poch first came to us. Same thing.
What salary? They wouldn't pay the money.
We're just very lackadaisical when it comes to transfers. We're very blasé. There's no plan.
I don't get how we go out and spend 105 million on Gray and Solanke when you could spend almost half that money and get Chiesa and O'Reilly and
it's mad, isn't it?
It's just like
I read up on it. I don't think he gets something. I don't think he gets some with Postecoglou, Matt O'Reilly.
What O'Reilly's figured out that he's just a liar and a yes man.
I think it's interesting. I know this now because I've been doing a lot of research.
How can you not get on Alex if you want to treble with him?
Yeah, listen. I don't know why. But like I said, I've done a lot of research on this guy, and he looks very impressive. By the way,
sounds like an excuse that's been put into the media for us to
I'll do a bit. You'll find out more, and that's it. What was that?
Sorry, this was sent to me. I just thought it was really funny. I just thought this was really...
Oh my lord! Oh my lord!
I just thought it was really childish, but very, very funny. And if ever something represented 24 years of being a chairman and shafting his managers.
If we don't beat Everton tomorrow, that's going to be my match analysis. I'm going to put on.
That is so wrong. I just can't believe I just saw that.
That is brilliant. Fuck me. Oh my god.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Guys,
Levy, why do you treat me so hard?
Yeah, it's absolutely madness. Guys, tomorrow as well. Look, we know that Bentancur's out. Basuma is available, for me, I think the guy's got to go straight into midfield, or we're looking at Sarr and an 18-year-old. And sorry, guys, I've said this multiple times. I think it's Dietrichs who thinks, I don't know what Papa Sarr does. I don't know what he's done to convince the fan base that he's going to be brilliant in the future. For me, I think you've got to start Basuma alongside Bergvall for me tomorrow. What do you think he'll do? What would you guys play?
Well, at least if Basuma plays, he'd be happy, wouldn't he? And next to him, what other option have we got? What other option have we got is, like you say, it's either Bergvall, which I don't think he'll start. It'll probably be Sarr.
I think he has to start Bergvall. I think he has to start Bergvall, man. He's better than a lot of the players that are getting minutes. I'd start him. I'd definitely start. Do you know what? It might be worth going Sarr in the 6, and then maybe Maddison in the 8, and what do you call it? And then Bergvall in the 10, or Kulu in the 10. Because Maddison last season, he did drop quite deep to receive the ball off the goalie on the half turn and get us going. So if he's in the 8, he's closer to do that, and it doesn't vacate the 10.
Yeah, but he's a liability though. Madison does lose the ball as well when he drops deep.
They all do.
But who doesn't? Who doesn't?
True. Sorry, Stel, they do.
Do you know what I found funny? The other day, right? Everyone I'm speaking to, it feels like everyone's just completely forgetting that Maddison was the best player on the park in the first half, and he's getting all the pelters for the second half.
It's crazy.
I
don't understand. I feel like James Maddison has now become the scapegoat for every Spurs performance. For me, sorry, I do. I feel like he's becoming the scapegoat.
He's got Savva. He's got form. He played poorly when he came back from injury last year.
Who didn't?
And true, fair point.
Who didn't?
Right?
This is what I mean. Who didn't play poorly in the second half of last season? There's a reason our form was so bad.
Tottenham are poor anyway, so
yeah.
I mean,
right, sure. But why is Maddison getting the brunt? Is it because fans rate him the highest?
Because he's only scored 4 goals last year. That's not really good for a 40, 50 million pound player. And yeah, he had bright bits in the first half, but for me, he had a lot of the ball. He got into key areas, which you could say, okay, that's his job to do, but nothing happened. And you see that a lot with Maddison. And then it just becomes frustrating, right? Now, you could say, we have said many times on your show and other shows, players are getting in his way, he's getting frustrated, etc., etc. But at what point do we say, but hold on, you've got to execute, you've got to convert. What we're seeing with our eyes has to match up to the statistics.
Sure, I'll ask you this. Maddison plays in the same position as Martin Odegaard at Arsenal. Yeah, do we all agree with that? They play in like for like in that number 10 position. When I watch Arsenal play, I don't see all of these bodies hanging around Odegaard, literally hanging out of his backside.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I truly don't get it. There was one point in the second half the other day. I can't remember if it was. I think it was before the substitutions. And I remember Maddison picked the ball up. He did a lovely little Cruyff turn, took him into space, and then he looked up, and I could see it. And he had Papa Sarr, a doggy, Porro, Son had come into the middle there as well. And it was just like, it's just traffic. It's just all traffic. When I watch Arsenal play, the wide men go wide. Yeah. The midfielders don't stand on top of him. Kai Havertz gives him options. Listen, I'm not making excuses, right? I think James Maddison needs to do better, but I feel like he's getting a lot of the brunt for at least a player at times.
I'll give it to all the players, mate. I'll give every single one player.
Sure.
Right. And I was still backing me up here, right? Did I not last season when Ange came in the first 2 games? I was like, I'm confused at his tactics. I don't know what's happening with the inverted thing. All the points you just said, Savva, I raised from the beginning, and I never understood the whole system that he's playing, and it's it's still the issue this year. So I'm with you. I had really high expectations of Maddison. I was elated when we signed him. His stats were great. I really thought he can do well at Spurs, and for me, it just hasn't happened. And I'm fed up of players that should be good, right? Like an Ndombele, like a Lo Celso, like a Maddison, coming into Spurs and just failing. All right, and
but is
it's
it
because you know
again,
he's better than that, isn't it? He's better than that, and we know that.
Right?
But exactly, I was saying it for I've been saying it for God knows how long, so that I can't. I just after about 8 games, like what you said, Maz, obviously earlier, I was already sitting there thinking, okay, we haven't lost, but this is going to go tits up pretty quick because the inverted wing backs, both of them, I don't get it. But the one I've been saying for ages, Maddison there as the 10, who's now even at a point where he's got to come back to create a bit of space. Sounds like Harry Kane at England, doesn't it? And he looks to the left, he looks to the right, he looks behind him, he looks in front of him. He's got about 6 foot space to pass the bloody players when he's meant to be the playmaker who can just put the quality pass out there to nowhere. And he can. We know he's capable of doing it, but it's like I keep saying again, if you don't play the players in the right formations or to their right system, you're not going to see the best out of them.
I think you have the players that play with him, that work with him well as well. For me as well, because I think that's what he's losing as well. You know what I mean? Because for me, I think he's coming back too much and having to do everything. You see what I'm saying? I think he just needs to be doing the simple, just being number 10 and have somebody behind him who's a little bit more experienced, that is like a Michael Carrick that can spray the ball and that's it, and he can just do his work dangerously, right? More in the attacking side, in the opposition box, and that's it for me. And I think that's been his Achilles heel. And that's it.
Doesn't this go? Sorry, Steve. Just give me 1 second, mate. Just 1 second. Doesn't this? I mean, look, this is big up, Chris. Hope you're well, my friend. Yeah, normally players have to escape your position and find space. Maddison has to escape his teammates. Can I just say, I feel like this is the exact same with Basuma. Again, we attack Basuma a lot as, he was poor today, non-existent, whilst playing the bloke as a number 6. Why do we make it so difficult? Let James Maddison be a number 10. Let Yves Basuma be a number 8 and buy a defensive midfielder. When James Maddison was at Leicester with all the good stats, now I know you're going to have people like when Wayne Holland came on the other day, and I get it, and say, look, we got frustrated because he was either brilliant or rubbish or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But his stats still were fantastic. Whatever we say, look at the goal scoring and creation stats together for the last 5-6 years in the Premier League. James Maddison is constantly there or thereabouts. He's always up there. At Leicester, he's got the perfect midfield in terms of Ndidi was a 6. Tielemans was an 8, a box-to-box 8, and Maddison was a 10. He had 2 wide men that actually offered out balls. He had 2 fullbacks that offered out balls. He had a forward that made runs, Vardy. Spurs get him, and every bloody bugger inverts into central midfield. And you watch, he's having to come back to the halfway line to get space.
Savva,
it's mental.
So let me explain what Andy's trying to do. The reason he inverts the both fullbacks so high up is because he wants extra bodies in the box. 1, it creates chaos. 2, it enhances your ability to keep possession much higher up, not between the halfway line and the box, but around the box. And also, it pulls players out of position, which leaves the wide players free, who can then put those balls in. I get why he does it. I'm not against what he does. The issue I've got, this is my big issue with it.
I'm massively against it.
Yeah, but I'm not, because if you look under Ange, all the metrics for chances created and shots taken, they're all up. Across the board, it's all up. So it works. The problem, right, where it's falling apart is 2 things. 1, he's got the wrong profile of player to play this way. They're not suited to this. If you look at Porro's goal against Leicester, that's because he was in that inverted role that he got on that header. So,
yeah, but still, what you've got here. No, hang on. Sorry, so this is disingenuous.
But I've got to finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Go,
it does work. It does work. Sorry, it works in theory, and on the eye, you can see it coming together. Where it fails,
I can't.
is you're signing the wrong type of profile player, which means that you're not taking the chances that you create in key moments of games where you've got when you've got to put it in the back of the net. And the other issue I've got with it, Savva, where I think it pisses off most players, most fans, including me, is it is so that there is no consideration for what happens when we lose the ball up there. Now what? That's when it's an absolute disaster.
But that's why the stats you just given there are lopsided. If you give consideration for what happens back here, right, what happens up there will be a little bit less. It's all well and good talking about, look how many chances are created, look where we're scoring goals from. But it's because of that why we can't defend. Because, look, when you say inferior works,
he pushes the 6 too high up. That's one of the key issues.
Well, still, we haven't got a 6.
No, the whole back line,
right?
mate. There is no 6 in this system because the back line,
the back plays it differently. He plays
hang
it
on,
differently.
hang on. Hang on, Bez. I think I might be about to say there is no number 6, and still, with all due respect, I don't see any other manager in world football who inverts both fullbacks this kamikaze-like. This is,
I agree.
We say it's personnel. I don't care who you're bringing in. You could bring in the best wing-backs, fullbacks in the world. You could have the best forwards in the world. In this system, we will concede loads of goals. I keep hearing, if we take our chances better, we kill games off. But we can't defend. We will keep conceding goals because of this formation. No other manager in world football is playing it. It's suicide.
If he had the right profile of player, this wouldn't be happening. The issue is he's accepting the wrong profile of player.
I don't believe that.
I do.
Okay, name me a manager who's doing it.
There's no manager doing it.
Because it doesn't. Why? If no manager is doing it, ask yourself why. You can't invert both fullbacks into the number 10 role.
Wait, hold on. The reason, see, I don't think we should just question someone because they do something different, because by doing something different, you're challenging the rest to have to think different. And the amount of teams that adapt to us is actually a compliment to us. Our problem is we stick to it every game, regardless, and there's no adaptation to it. And essentially,
I think the opposite still. I think the opposite. I don't think we are making teams have to think. Teams know what to do. Teams go into games against Spurs.
So we had 20 shots against Leicester. 20.
Because yes, but still, I keep hearing how brilliant we were first half against Leicester. It's easy to look really good when the other team don't want the football and stick 10 men behind the ball. The moment Leicester figured us out and went, yeah, this is easy. We know what to do. As I said, there's no personnel you could buy that makes this work.
I'm not defending with what you're both saying.
Guys, I'm not defending Ange. I'm just trying to explain. I see what he's trying to do, and I can see where it's going wrong.
I just don't.
I think it's
the worst style.
I agree with what you're both saying. You're actually both right here. I mean, Savva, you've basically said what I've been saying. What I've been saying for a long time, give him the best team there ever was, and he will never win a league like the Premiership, or the Premier League, whatever people want me to call it, or another big league like the Spanish League, Italian League, or even the Bundesliga, because he will just concede too many goals. That is the problem with it. But on Stell's side, I agree. I see what he's trying to do. And I know it's all if, buts and maybes, but if we would have took a few more of those chances and put it in the back of the net with a better player up there, which we could have, we would have already been 3-0 up at half-time. The fact that they backed off of us, that's their problem, not ours. So
but that's Leicester City, Dan. That's Leicester City.
Yeah, I know, but that's the game I'm talking about. So we should have took advantage off of that and put in 3 goals. But that's the game I'm just talking about, because that's the game we've played.
Well, so these are the players.
I think you're both right.
For his system.
Yeah, I know. I'm agreeing, but I think you are both 100% right, because the game against Leicester is the one that's just happened. So that's the one I'm talking about. If we would have took our chances, of course. If we would have took our chances and gone 3-0 up, we wouldn't have had the same problem.
Did we actually have?
If Harry Kane
had great chances in that game?
We had
actually,
at least,
I mean, I think
we could have been 3-0 up. I think
we had 2 or 3 good ones.
Sure,
and
okay,
the
but what
the rest were half
clear-cut
chances.
chances did we have?
I think Johnson had a chance. He had a chance on the volley.
Johnson had a chance on the volley.
Had a
Solanke
volley that went
straight.
right.
Solanke's header
smacked
from
his
about
straight.
6 yards out.
Yeah, but Solanke had another one where he basically booted it at the goalkeeper.
But we're making it sound like we cut them apart and had loads and loads of clear.
No,
cut
we're
chances.
not.
I think
saying
a
that.
lot of it.
I never said that. I said we only had 3 clear-cut chances. The rest were half chances. I did say that. The issue is we don't. What he wants to do is impossible with Werner's, Solomon's, Johnson's, Richarlison's. It's not going to happen. That's
Messi's, Ronaldo's, PK's. I'm sorry, I don't care.
Messi, Ronaldo scored these goals. They scored these goals.
Yeah, they do, but they don't defend.
But over a season, we will concede too many. So you're both right.
Savva,
that's what I mean, Dan.
You can't play you score 3, we score 4 every game over 38 games.
You know what?
You're both right. You're both 100% right.
I think what I've said has been misunderstood. When I say I see what he's trying to do, I'm talking about the attacking phase. I totally get it.
I hear you.
Defensively, I think he's clueless. I think he's completely out of his mind.
I'll meet you in the middle. There. This is the thing. For me, I just can't understand it. Like, I like you said, still, I'm sitting here watching these games, the same as you lot are, and time after time, like that the other day, you saw that they worked out the ball over the top on the right channel to Fatawu, and we were a shambles, right? And we were all at 6s and 7s. The back 4 are never in a line. George Graham must be looking at this and going, defending's dead. Do you remember? Like, he had his back 4 all in a line, all going right. Spurs now, what we do is you've got Van de Ven, who's the deepest. Romero's trying to come into midfield and crunch people. Porro and Udogie in the middle. One ball over the top every single time. And this is a Leicester City team with players that I believe it was only Buonotti maybe and one other that had been brought in from the summer. And they realised very, very quickly, get Fatawu one-on-one over the top with Udogie, and every time he takes him to the cleaners. And every ball that came in our box, whether it was a cross in the air, a low cross, we were a shambles. We were an absolute shambles.
If you asked me the question, would you play this way? I'd say no. Right? No, I'm just saying I understand what he's trying to do. But if it was down to me, I wouldn't play this way. There's no way.
If we were more clinical,
But if we were more clinical up front, top attackers, and we win.
But we don't have top attackers. That's the problem.
Arsenal have top attackers. Man City have top attackers. Liverpool have top attackers. But you know what they also do?
They've got good midfielders.
They've got good midfielders, and defensively they're set up to be solid.
If we had a more clinical strike force, basically, the bit the person's missed
a lot more games.
Is top. That's exactly what I'm about to say. We would win more games, but the problem would still come in. We would concede way too many goals to even look at a league, even with the best strike force on the bloody planet. And that is what it is, because there is going to be teams that will just outdo us down the flanks. And if we want to play you score 3, we score 4, they'll just do the same to us, but do it the other way round. Over 38 games, it will never work.
The problem is we've got no composure in that midfield. The problem is we've got no composure in that midfield because it was so evident. It was what evident, and again, I'm saying what I'm saying on my channel, which I'm going to say the video soon, is that there's no composure in that midfield whatsoever, right? And I'm sorry, the only one that's got it is Bentancur, and that's it. And people, for me, he's up and down, and that's it. And that's where the failure is in that midfield, and that's it. And I'm sorry, I have to say, I wasn't even going to raise my voice because I'm getting ready for Carnival and I want to be happy. My point is, is that you know the failure of this club right now is the forward line and the midfield. As simple as that. Because if you have a better midfield, you've got control in that midfield, and when Leicester City. And Jamie Vardy, who fancied it all day long in that second half, he said, "You know what? I'm going to be fit for this game because I fancy against those two. Van der Ven and Romero." What happened? he got in there and scored the goal. He could have scored a second goal as well. Yeah, and that's because we ain't got no leader in that midfield. No one that's ruthless. No one's got arrogance. No one that says what you're doing in that midfield. And that strike force again is a failure, and that is on Ange. That is on Ange, because I'm sorry, he bought all those strikers and all those forwards and wingers, and that's it. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous, because why are West Ham getting better players than us? I'm sorry. Ask the question. Ask me the question why they're getting wingers and that. And I'm annoyed by it. I'm annoyed by it.
Alex,
I'm annoyed by it.
Alex. All right then, Alex. I'll do what you ask.
Sorry, Dan. It's not
all
you,
right, man. No, I'm just gonna. I know that. I'm just gonna do what you asked. Why are West Ham getting better players?
I'm why are they getting players like that?
You did say ask you, so I just did.
Yeah, I know. It's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm just mad. I'm just fuming.
You're right. I'm just being
sarcastic, I'm just getting stupid things saying, like today from Jack Pickwood saying, "Oh, well, we're impressed with Bergvall and bloody Archie Gray." Where are we going with this?
Do you know what's funny about that? There's a few people that have said that Archie Gray and Bergvall have really impressed in training. They're really standing out. So why don't they start the game then? Why aren't they starting if they're that impressive?
Because there's no meritocracy in this.
Well, I've got a question for everyone then, yeah? And, right, so you look at that subs bench that we had against Leicester. Maybe one player that could come on and make a difference, Kulusevski. Maybe, yeah? Now, if we were in a situation we're 1-0 up, and then for some strange reason, Ange decides, right, we got 10 minutes left, let's sit back a little bit. Who would you rather come on as basically the 6? Would you rather we brought Archie Gray on, or would you rather we kept Højbjerg and bring him on?
I'd rather have Højbjerg.
Well, no, one or the other. One or the other. No, neither.
This is
exactly
what happened last year at Goodison Park, and we fucked it, and we ended up drawing 2-2.
It's embarrassing. I'm saying that I want a bang average player back in my club. Højbjerg. It's so embarrassing.
Bring on Dragusin and put Romero in the 6 for 10 minutes.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think he's got the brain to do it.
But I asked, who would you rather have out of them two? You have to pick one of them two.
Højbjerg.
Which one?
Højbjerg.
And it's embarrassing I'm saying that, because I think it was bang average.
Maz?
Hate these questions. I think they're both, neither should be at Spurs.
Well, whether they should or shouldn't, whatever, but I think it's a fair question.
Well, right now.
I don't look.
Right now, as they are right now.
Right now, I'll take Højbjerg, right? Because I don't think we should have spent 40 million on an 18-year-old. Yeah, I'd rather have spent 25 million on O'Reilly.
So
I'd rather have spent 25 million on Chiesa. I'd rather have spent 25 million on Locatelli.
Exactly.
I mean, 75 million on 3 top players.
Yeah.
I'd rather we kept Højbjerg. Knowing that what we've got in midfield now, or haven't got in midfield, I'd have just rather kept him and lost out.
We look so stupid now.
And he's a bang average player. That is the point I'm getting at. The fact that everyone has said they would rather have Højbjerg on to cover that 6 in the last 10 minutes.
But Dan, this is the crazy thing.
Everything.
For all the people praising this window, right? This is what I don't get. We already knew, right? And this is going to back up Mr. Box Office's point. I think he's spot on.
Sorry, Savva, I shouldn't be like this today.
Be like this. Do what you got to do, bro. And by the way, before I make that point, can we get some more likes, please? There's just under 700, only 316 likes. We've been going for 2 hours and 18 minutes for you. Surely we can get to 400-500 likes. Look, guys, my issue is this. We knew Bergvall was coming in. Right, we knew Bergvall was coming in as a young midfielder that we could develop, grow, and hopefully start giving more minutes in the first team. Right. From there on in, you sign another, and the next midfielder that comes in is another 18-year-old. This is my problem with it. Why, when you already have Bergvall, did we need to go and get another 18-year-old? Surely, right now, that money plus the money for whoever. Right, could have gone on a proper centre midfielder. Nothing against Gray. Again, when people say give Gray a chance, this is what I hate. Give Gray a chance. again, it's this mentality why we won't ever win anything. Just give everyone a chance. Everyone a chance. Why? Alex made the best point. For me, leagues are won and lost in midfield. For me, leagues are, we could talk about defenses and forward. For me, you have to control games. If you look at all the midfields that have won Premier Leagues in recent eras, right? Look at Man City. They've got the best two midfielders in the Premier League in their midfield, De Bruyne and Rodri, right? And then chuck into that for the last few years, Kovacic, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva. You look at Arsenal now. It's not a coincidence that Arsenal are challenging for titles when they've got Rice, Odegaard, Partey. Now they're adding Mikel Merino to that. You then look at Chelsea when they were winning league titles. They always had like a Matic sitting and holding, composed, a Fabregas, composed. You look at Liverpool, slightly different midfield, but look at the seniority in it. Jordan Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, controlled, composed. And we've gone the complete other way. We've gone to the point where we're all going, well, if we score more goals, it don't matter what happens at the back. If we score more goals, we still can't control games of football. We are still going to keep conceding that way because our midfield give the ball away at a rate of knots and our defence is always actually in midfield. So for me, I agree with Alex. If we do not sort out that midfield area, if we do not get in a proper solid box-to-box and a proper solid number 6, we're not doing anything with this manager. Sorry, I'm not having it.
I think what Joe Red's short statement there is lacks any real thinking. I mean, when he says give Gray a chance, well, okay. How about we give Rodon a chance? We didn't really give him a chance. How about we give Brian Gill a chance? He never really got a chance. I mean, and why didn't they get chances? Because they weren't good, right? So you got to play the players that we believe are going to be good, right? And there's nothing suggesting that Gray's going to be any better than what we had before him, i.e. Højbjerg. And no one has that data to show that. And they shouldn't lie and say, oh, yeah, but at Leeds he played well. He was playing at bloody right back last year.
Michael Carrick
he's never even played top football.
Oh,
he's never even played in the top league, has he? He's never ever played at the very top. That is why I need to see what Archie Gray can do. Whereas at least with the other fella we just got off of, was it off Brentford we just got him? At least he's got a year's experience behind him in the Premiership. Gray has never even touched football in the top football, has he? In the top football league or international.
Even if Bertha has a good season, sorry to interrupt you, Dan, yeah? But it's like, for me, well, even if Bertha has a good season, he still has to do it the next season, the next season after, and the next season after that, and the next season after that, yeah? And putting pressure on the 18-year-old and Archie Gray is too much pressure on him. And I go back on what I say. Michael Carrick was a rookie when he came from West Ham to Tottenham, right? Okay? But he learned from the best, Edgar Davids, yeah. Then went to Man United. He still wasn't there. Still, he was
Carrick
good.
Was doing it in the Premier League, Alex. Carrick was doing it in the Premier League.
He's still doing it in the Premier League, but he was still up and down. Still, he was still up and down. Then he went to Man United. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is he wasn't there yet, even though people liked him. That's it. He grew and got that composure when he's learning from the Paul Scholes, the Roy Keanes, the top midfielders that they had at Manchester United who are winners. I think
I get your point. Carrick had players to learn from, but I actually think he came to us with more experience and at a better age. It was a bit.
But
he had Premiership experience, didn't he? Gray has Premiership experience,
but I'm just saying. My point is that he wasn't the real deal straight away when he was a youngster. He grew and learned from the experience he had, and then when he got older, you saw that composure. Yeah, you saw that know-how. Know when to make the one pass, when to make that pass. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, he learned to control a question.
Go, Savva, sorry.
Who's midfield you taking? Spurs or Villas?
Villas all day long. Sorry.
Right. And have Villa, I don't know, guys, on the top, Spurs or Villas? Villa. Onana, McGinn, Kamara. versus
all day long.
whoever we've got.
Villa.
Right.
I don't rate our midfield. I don't think our midfield's very good.
I agree. And when you look at Villa, right? Villa, for me, again, haven't gone out and anything mental. I think they've bought sensible. They've bought men. They've bought men in midfield. You look at Onana, whatever people want to say about him, yeah, he's up and down, but that's a man. That's an experienced man that plays for Belgium in central midfield. He's played for Everton in the Premier League for a couple of years. And you go, yeah, I get it. John McGinn, again, always say this, technically, is he the best footballer I've ever seen? No. But John McGinn, every game for Villa, you notice him. Every bloody game with John McGinn.
I said it
barking
to the other
orders, tackling, getting stuck in.
It's like Milner,
you watch ours. You watch ours.
Milner, brilliant example, by the way. Milner, brilliant example.
We don't have one midfielder at Spurs, and I put Bentancur in this as well, that can consistently dictate the tempo of a game. When to speed it up, when to slow it down, when to dictate the play, and just literally. Do you remember Christian Eriksen? He used to control a game.
Yeah.
Musa Dembele used to control Modric, brilliant example. Dembele, they could control a game of football. We don't have anyone like that at Spurs.
Agreed.
Nobody.
Agreed.
Dembele, I'll never forget Dembele's performance against Arsenal. I think did we beat him
at Wembley? At Wembley, yeah.
Absolutely. When I mean dominated,
Boston,
dominated them. But that was a masterclass. None of our players can do that.
But you know what, Maz? What makes me laugh is I remember the other day I did a video and went, look, I was like, Locatelli is available for 25 million euros. And what makes me laugh is the very same fans that are going, give Gray a chance. Gray's going to be brilliant. All going, I don't think Locatelli's good for us. And you're like, whoa, hang on. Experienced international footballers that have played in midfield for Juventus for years and Milan, suddenly, right, they're not what fans want. Rabiot's another one. Yeah, Rabiot's a bit up and down. If you offer me Rabiot and Locatelli right now as our centre midfield pairing for the season, I am biting your hand off.
But it's like the
that costs 25.
Chiesa
and Chiesa, right?
on the wing.
Yeah,
but
I'm not bothered about Chiesa. I think he's the most overrated player that everyone talks about.
Those
same Werner is better than Johnson.
Sure. I agree.
100%. Those same fans, if we signed Locatelli before the end of the window, would say, brilliant business, suits the system. They completely pivot. They would. If we can't get a player, he's not good.
But you know what he do still?
This is it.
Do you know what Locatelli
was smart, though. This is what I don't understand, Savva, right? Yeah. We're not... Surely it will suit Daniel Levy to buy the Locatellis, the Chiesas, we listed them all, the O'Reillys and stuff like that, because their outlays a hell of a lot cheaper. We're talking about tens of millions of pounds cheaper than we've already spent. Two, they're already proven quality, right? They've played for big clubs, right? They know how to mix it with
and
the big
international,
boys, right? And there's potential sell-on value with them if things don't go well because they've got history. But what we're doing is we're spending big money on unproven players, and it's like backward economics. It's like,
mate, it is.
I'm buying high-risk players for top money rather than buying low-risk players for low money. But
Maz, do you know what? Like when I was talking about Locatelli the other day, Dan, I think me and you were talking about him as well.
Yeah.
Locatelli for me is the sort of player Spurs are screaming out for. Somebody who isn't gung-ho, will anchor that midfield and can do that thing that Stel just mentioned. Very few players do this. They put their foot on the ball and they go, right, do I speed the tempo up? Do I slow it down? And when you watch Rice for Arsenal, he's very good at that. Do I move it quick or do I go, whoa, hang on, take a breather? Rodri is the best in the world at it. Right? Mm-hmm. Rodri knows, do I go forward? Do I pass sideways? Do I just say, hang on, let me pass it to the centre arse and everyone can get back in position? But Spurs don't have that. And I'm not saying Locatelli is Rodri, by the way. I'm not saying that. But when you look at Locatelli's form and his heat map and everything, most of his game is spent in that little bubble in front of the back four. And his passing accuracy is brilliant. The number of passes a game, and that tells you he gets on the ball.
I've watched Locatelli play countless times. Yeah. The thing is, with the problem he would have, and I think has Spur TV and his mate did make a very solid point on their show while I was watching it. The problem he would have with our system is that we don't actually play a 6, and he isn't the fastest or quickest player out there.
Sure.
But if we did play with more of a 6, whatever, or even if we did use him as the box-to-box, cover the back better, because when we did play Leicester and we used Bentancur as more the box-to-box, but also cover the 6, it looked a lot more stable than it did with Basuma. And one thing I can tell you about Locatelli is last season definitely weren't his best, but on the ball, he's cool, calm, and calculated. He can slow a game down. He can speed a game up. He's got a good pass ratio on him. He's got a very good tackle on him. He's miles better than what we got, and he can control a game. You don't have to be super fast to be a number 6. What he has definitely got, he's got it up there. He knows how to play football.
Absolutely.
He knows where to be 2 steps ahead, like a Harry Kane or a Teddy Sheringham, someone who hasn't got the pace, so they have to rely on their head. And he's excellent at that.
Sorry, go on, Alex.
Can I just add something to why I also he's very good as well? These youngsters will learn all they need to learn. Archie Gray, that would be perfect midfielder for him right now.
Agreed.
Perfect midfielder right now because he's learning. Because you're saying, you see, he determines the tempo, right? He determines the tempo by the way he plays. Whether he's slow or not, he controls the game. Yeah. And then if he's got someone like Archie Gray or Burval next to him, they're perfect because they know that they can just wait, think about him and that's it. Perfect. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You think of football brain and that's it. Back to you, Savva. Sorry.
You think if any young midfielder goes into that Arsenal team now, they're learning off of Partey, Jorginho, Rice, Marino. They've all been there, seen it and done it. They're learning from these people in training. And again, that point that Dan just made, I think it's easy for a Bentancur to look good in that position, again, in the first half against Leicester when they're not pressing us. I think anyone can look good in a game when you've got all the ball. The problem for me is discipline when we haven't got the ball and when teams do start to figure us out. But again, sorry, Eugene says the funniest things. I love it. First of all, whenever anyone starts their YouTube response with "this isn't Football Manager," I think you've lost the debate already. What a load of nonsense, right? Just because people are talking about footballers they like doesn't mean it's Football Manager. But again, I'll challenge Eugene with, why talk about players who don't fit what we do? Okay. Are the midfielders that we've got at the moment fitting what we do? Because we're conceding goals for fun. We've got, as Alex said, we can't control a game in midfield. Yeah. And we give the ball away a lot. So are the current players, Eugene, are they fitting in with what? This is what I don't get, guys. Can they play Ange ball? They're perfect for Ange's system. I don't know what this means.
Savva.
Good footballers are good footballers, right? Good footballers will like when people used to say, "Oh, could Messi do it in the Premier League?" Well, yeah, because he's a genius. You know what I mean? Good footballers are good footballers. It's madness.
Does anybody, bar the goalkeeper, actually fit this system? By the goalkeeper, does anyone actually fit it? Like I said on Stel Show the other day, I don't think they know their genders on the pitch.
No.
They don't know whether they're meant to be a DM, a wing back, a bloody whatever. Somebody tell me on the chat then or whatever who actually does fit this system well, because it is their style of play.
Because the thing is, the forward line don't score goals, and there's no wingers that actually do what the wingers are supposed to be doing to make this system work, as far as I'm concerned. And certainly in that midfield, there's nothing. Certainly in that midfield, I'm sorry. That's where I'm done. That's where I was done.
And that's why, though, I'm for me, Bentancur, I think he is a good player, but he just doesn't fit into Ange's system at all. He was
what is
brilliant
Ange's system, Maz?
Well, no, I don't know. Who knows?
What does a
I don't even think
midfielder
Ange
do
knows
in
now.
Ange's system?
Does
I'm
Ange
so
know what
confused.
his system is? I don't think he knows what his system is now either.
God.
But
Can we just
and
face
it's
it,
the
Maz?
same-
We have not bought quality midfielders for many years
No, I
now.
agree.
I agree.
Listen, I don't mind Bentancur, but
I
again,
agree.
he's hit and miss. We have not bought a midfielder into this club where you go, that is our number one midfielder who is going to run the games. As Stel
Last
said.
midfielder was Van der Vaart. That was the last midfielder, Van der Vaart.
No. Since then,
even-
we've
but
had
Savva-
Musa Dembele, who's
but-
done that in midfield.
But Bentancur
Modric.
though.
But
Savva, let's be fair to Bentancur
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah.
He's won cups, right, with Juventus. He was playing regularly for Juventus, right? So if we bought a player like Bentancur now, we'll be going brilliant.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. For me,
But is it
when I
Locatelli
speak
the
to
same
Juventus
type of player?
fans, no, Locatelli's not a Bentancur at all for me. Locatelli's game is he sits in front of that back four.
But that's what Bentancur did for Juve.
No,
but Juve played a very different formation.
Yeah. When he played at Juve, he played
4-4-2.
as DM, but he did come back and play as a DM. But it was a mixed role of a DM and a deep line playmaker.
Right, fair enough. Okay.
Whereas it's basically the same sort of thing, but he had more responsibility to get the ball and make that proper pass, not just get rid of it.
Look,
he's the closest to a DM we've got.
Because Bentancur came to Spurs, right, and he was the best midfielder we had when he came for that 6 months, and then until he got injured, he was also our best midfielder. Then he got injured, and then Ange's come in and confused everyone with his tactics, right? So I just think we need to give him a bit of time to rediscover his form and stuff like that.
But who was that form against? Maz, I'll debate this the other way. I'm so bored of hearing that he was our best midfielder, right? Bentancur for me, before he got that horrific injury, was on a run of good form when Spurs were playing Leeds, Leicester's, these sort of teams. Mm-hmm. I've never seen him in a top game run the show and go, you are quality.
But I agree with you, Savva. But the argument then is though, but Spurs haven't done that for quite a while, like just generally against any top team.
But a top player will stand out like a sore thumb. This is the thing for me.
But then you prove my point, because then why are you defending Maddison then?
But I've not at any point said Maddison is a top player. I've not said he's a top player. I think Maddison's a good footballer. But for me, by the way, I don't not like Bentancur. I think Bentancur's a good midfielder. Notice the way I say good. Yeah, for me, I look around at the teams above us, and and even some teams below us, and I think, does Bentancur walk into any of their midfields?
No, that's a fair point.
I don't think he does.
Yeah,
and
fair point. Yeah.
He's very injury prone. We're starting to see the last couple of years. And again, how can you rely upon that player? I'm not saying it's all his own fault, but for me, I think we need what Stel said. We need to go out there and find a player that's cool, calm, collected, puts his foot on the ball. And if we're going to say, well, the problem is Ange don't play that way, please don't ever think we're going to win a trophy. Not you. Please, people are going, could we win the Europa League? You're not winning trophies when your midfield can't control games. Because deep into those tournaments, those European teams know how to kill a game. They know how to put their foot on it, slow it down. They'll take the sting out of Tottenham. That's where we lose all our shape. What we bank on, and what I hear a lot is, we play a lot of poorer teams than us where we have a lot of the football, right? And we misconstrue having a lot of the ball for being really, really good. Like I thought we had a lot of the ball against Leicester. I don't think we really did anything with it. We had a lot of possession. We whipped a lot of balls in the box, but I still think, again, there was no real intricate opening a team up. It was a possession for possession's sake for me.
Yeah.
The other problem with Bentancur is his main problem is he loses connection with the game. I don't know how to describe it properly. He'll be bang on it. He'll be doing it. And he was our best midfielder. There's no ifs or buts about it. He was our best midfielder playing the best. Whether it's against the shit teams or the good teams, whatever, he was our best midfielder at the time, which says a lot. And his biggest problem is is he drifts all of a sudden. He'll do some good things on the pitch, and then he'll get the ball. And I don't know, it's like he's just had a phone call or something, and he'll look up, and all of a sudden he's lost the ball, and he'll click back into gear.
He's got a phone. He can hear his phone in the changing room.
You know what I mean? Whatever way you want me to put it,
it's
like he's got his AirPods in or something. He just, all of a sudden he loses attention very quickly. And
I agree.
He did that at Juventus quite a lot of times.
Agreed.
He does. All of a sudden, something goes straight past him, and then he'll be like, "Oh," and then click in again. You can't afford your DM to do that. And that is probably his biggest down part, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you, Dan. And again, it's difficult because I think we're in 2024, right? Where if you don't say a player is amazing, people think you don't rate him. Like, do you know what I mean? I rate him to a degree.
Or you hate him. You hate him with a passion.
I think Bentancur's great all the while we want to be. And I keep saying this, if we want to stay as a 5th to 8th club, I think Bentancur's your guy. I think Maddison's your guy. I think lots of these players can be your guys, and they've proven it. The question comes, as always, if you want to start moving into the upper echelons,
I agree with that.
Those players aren't the ones that take you there. No matter how much we want to think every kid is going to turn into Maradona, they're not going to take you there, right? Bear in mind,
certainly with a crap manager like Ange,
you know, I don't rate him.
Yeah.
This probably sums it up. And this probably sums up for me. I do. I think he's a good midfielder. If he was 1 of 4, 1 of 5, for me, I think if he's your main man, you're not winning trophies. And I'm not blaming him.
But I would put O'Reilly into that same category, though. Like, O'Reilly's a good player. He's a very good player. But will he elevate us into the 4th, 3rd, 2nd spot? I'm not sure he would be that type of player.
I just think O'Reilly's very consistent. Whenever I watch Matt O'Reilly, but he stands out. Like, you know, we could say so-and-so looks good. Every time you watch Celtic, Matt O'Reilly looks brilliant. Like, he's stands out. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing, but watch him at Brighton. I bet you he has a good year.
Joe Red, just so you know, that in the last 10 games, we're 16th in the form table. In 2024, we're also 16th in the form table. Yes, he's a crap manager.
And when you see your manager cannot adapt to the zonal marking system up until about 36 games, even when it got said on national TV to him, and he just sort of shrugged his shoulders like it don't exist, you know the manager's got issues.
Do you know what? The fact we're so divided on this, and the fact there's so many questions on the manager, speaks volumes, right? You know,
I think also it's like I said, the ownership not done him any favors as well, because they're not coming out and saying more to back him. You know what I mean? And I know that I'm expecting too much, but the thing is though, when you've got the history that we have got already, right? You would think, right, if they're really fully for Ange, right, they would say something right now, just to give a message out to the fans saying, well, this is the plan and that's it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we know where this is going at the end of the day, and that's it. And I'm not a fool. I don't think any of us on this panel...
Alex, you said it right. Alex, you said it right when you said, where's Scott Munn? Where's Flan?
That's the point I'm making.
Where are they?
Yeah. That's the point I'm making. It's like I said before, it's like, there's only so many times I can say the same thing every single time. And I know it's boring, but the thing is, though, what has happened since? Nothing to change my mind. You know what I mean? So
I agree,
we can only have the same judgment because we know what our club are act like, and that's it. If they're going to act differently, like Arsenal with Arteta, you see how together they look like, because the ownership have said to all the Arsenal fans saying, we are not letting go of Arteta. They've made it very clear, even when they were losing, even when they were 8th and 5th, they put a contract on the table, and since then they've
got a plan and they're sticking to it, aren't they? They've got a plan and they're sticking to it.
You get what I'm saying? But Tottenham have never done that. Sorry, Savva, but back to you.
We are going to end it in the next 5 minutes, but first of all, the comment about I like this comment that came into me about what can Mainu do that Bentancur can't, and I think. First of all, I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't mention Kobbie Mainoo. I'm not sure why his name was brought up. But second of all, Kobbie Mainoo is 18 years of age and doing it. Right? Do you know what I mean? We talk about our 18-year-olds. Kobe Mainoo broke into the Man United team and is now the first midfielder on the team sheet. Yeah?
He played in the European Cup final for England.
Exactly, right? I'm not sure what he's got to do with Bentancur, but from what I've seen of Kobe Mainoo, I do think he's got a good future, and he's actually doing it at the age of 18. I'm not sure what he's got to do with Bentancur.
He won the FA Cup final with Man United as well. Like he's a top young player in the making. There's no doubt.
Young player, and he's doing what Basuma should have been doing.
Yeah,
agreed. What I would say, Stel, exactly. I think your comment there, and we are going to end on this. Hang on, let me read a couple of super chats first before I give Stel any praise. Hate giving Stel praise. Just kidding. Donna has said, Mr. Steos, Mr. Levy say his lawyer will speak to you. There you go. You've got an interview with Daniel Levy's lawyer. There you go. That's nice, isn't it?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And the last super chat of the night has come from Rinketic. Big up. I said, did you see the Premier League placement thing? Porro and Brennan are in the same place. Everyone is like 2 meters from Madders. Compare Man City. Yeah, look, I think if you actually go and look where all these players play, they all kind of play in midfield. We've got all our forwards want to play in midfield. Our midfielders want to play in attack. Our defenders don't want to defend but want to bring the ball out. It just for me, it's very much, again, for the older people will remember it is Ozzy Ardiles all over again for me. But without the quality forwards that Ozzy Ardiles had. Big up to you, Rinketic. Stel has summed up Tottenham Hotspur for me without actually knowing he's summing up the whole club. The fact that nearly every player we are so divided on tells you the level of player we are buying.
Player, manager,
right?
Coach.
The fact that we are so divided on the manager tells you the level of manager we've got, right? This, for me, is everything still. How many players, if we look at what we've done this window, there's not one player that every single fan in the fan base says, love that. There's not one. There's not one. When Declan Rice signed for Arsenal, I didn't see a single Arsenal fan say, oh, I don't want him. Do you know what I mean?
No.
We don't make those signings. We sign players that everyone pretends they've seen playing in Sweden. Everyone pretends they've seen every Leeds United game. Everyone now is a big fan of Odegaard, and I bet you they hardly watched any Burnley games. Like that's what we do. That's where we are as a club. So look, guys, I do want to thank everyone. I will ask nicely. Please, could everyone subscribe to Mr. Box Office? Subscribe to Hotspur Hood. Subscribe to Tottenham Away. I'm only 130 away now from 13.5K. So if you could subscribe, that would be amazing. Please do smash the likes on your way out. We've been really tight with the likes today. And just one comment I saw. I have to. This guy cracks me up. So Savva, you said Bentancur is good for teams around 6th to 8th. I said 5th to 8th. But Mainoo is a first 11 midfielder going for top 4. Well, Mainoo is actually a first 11 midfielder for a team that finished lower than us last season. So if you listen to what I said, you've put a player in the same bracket as us to argue my point of does Bentancur get into the clubs above us? It doesn't quite make sense.
Mainoo, past City would get into basically any other team or at least be that close to it.
I think when I watch Mainoo, he's got something about him. The way he carries the ball out of position. He looks very mature for an 18-year-old. Watch him. I know we did this last week. Watch him and watch Archie Gray. They're both 18. Donna Cullen's come back in and said, Mr. Stellos, don't worry, his lawyer is cheap and crap. I'd love to think that Daniel Levy's got a really dodgy, like a lawyers for you type lawyer. Do you know what I mean? He's phoned up off the TV. And the last super chat is Charlie, who said, big up the panel, but come on, you Irons. I bet you right now there's a million West Ham fans not having these debates about their summer transfer window because you know what? They went and actually bought players that make their first 11 better. Maz, Stel, Dan, Mr. Box Office, thanks for coming on, guys. Really do appreciate you. Thank you.
Cool.
Take care, everyone. Sorry. Okay, he's 19 now. Forgive me. He's 19. All right. He's 19.
Are we doing a quick prediction for tomorrow or not?
Yeah, let's do it. By the way, everyone who's watching me, who are my followers, I'm not doing a live watch along tomorrow. I'm on husband duty, visiting the father-in-law. So I will be watching the game, and then I'll do a video, but I won't be doing a watch along. So watch one of these guys. Maz, Tottenham at home to Everton.
2-1 to Spurs, and the goal scorers will be Son and Johnson, and everyone will rave about how well Johnson played.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it now. Stel?
I think it's going to be 3-0 Spurs. I think Everton
3-0?
are awful. Yeah,
they are.
By the way,
terrible.
tomorrow night, 10 p.m, Tottenham away, we're doing a live post-match show if anyone wants to watch.
There we go. 10 p.m. tomorrow. Danny, score tomorrow?
I'm going to have to go 2-1 Spurs by the skin of our teeth.
Skin of your teeth. I love it. Love it. 2-1 by the skin of your teeth. Alex?
I don't care 1-1 because I'm not going to be watching anyway. Because I'll be out just enjoying myself, and that's it.
Yeah, carnival.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy myself. So I'm sorry. Yeah. Because I wanted to go to the game. I was so wanting to go to the game, but I don't.
Alex, can I say, if it's 1-1, tomorrow's going to be horrendous on the internet. If it's 1-1, it's going to be.
Look, I think with Tottenham, you never know. I do agree with Stel. I think they are terrible. I think we should batter them. But I went positive on Monday. I predicted 4-0 against Leicester. And then people held that positiveness against me. I do agree with the boys. I actually think it will be 2-1. I'd love to say 0, but I just don't think we can defend. And set pieces tomorrow. If I'm Dyche, guys, if you're Dyche, aren't you just saying to your team, look, give them the ball. They're going to have the ball. Sit in and just play. Hit it down the channels and play for corners and free kicks. Surely, just play for corners 100%. And free kicks and keep whipping it in, and they'll keep not heading it away. Right? That's what I would do. Guys, girls, everyone in the chat, thank you very much. 7 days of the window to go. Let's see what Spurs do. I love you all. Thanks for your support. As always, come on, you Spurs.